gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Bryson, why they mad? Cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only. You ain't got no membership. They free General Flint out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the run know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Justin Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they.
Hello, everyone. Hi, John Marciano in the chat. Jesse in the chat. Hello. Leonard Smith, welcome. Happy Pardon Thanksgiving Turkey Day. It is, oh my goodness. Thanksgiving has been giving me anxiety lately. Shaq, hello. Jenny S, hello. San Diego. Yes. No. This is the political one. The political. I thought about putting the red one, but I'm going to behave. Yeah, guys. So I am free from YouTube jail. That was a weird experience. I'm only going to talk a little bit about it because I want to get to the juicy part, which is like the shadow government that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And I hope my favorite people get to join. I got the link up there. So let me know if you guys can hear me pretty good. I have to get back into the swing of things. Hi, Jay. Yeah, jail sucks. Press 1. It really sucked. Because, I've been doing things consistently. You know what I'm saying? So that week gave me some time to relax. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this feeling because now I'm nervous coming back here. But yeah, I'm going to put a 1 too because that was a really long time for me. All right. So I got a warning and then I got my first strike. So basically, the first time was the RFK Jr. speech that we covered. And he talked about the jab. I'm going to behave so I don't get another strike. So I got a warning for that. And then I got my first strike because of the same thing, medical misinformation, which I don't understand, but you already know how it is. Jimmy knows exactly how it is because he already got permanently banned from Facebook. And that was a blessing in disguise for him because now he's on Twitter. And that's why I love Twitter. X. That's why I love X because it's so free on there. So I kind of got the taste of that from YouTube. I heard Jimmy Bell got jealous. You took his jail. No. I got to jail all the time. I play Monopoly. Yeah, okay. But it kind of sucks when you're being censored. Okay, so that's why I said, let's talk about censorship. So how do you feel about that? Because for me, it was really unfair, number one. How is an American-based company, platform, censoring Americans? You know how weird that is to me? And I get it that it's happened before. I'm not the only one, yada, yada. But it still feels a certain type of way when it's done to you. And it wasn't even something bad. Like, okay, you know how there's so many other channels out there that curse, that talk about like the dating types of shows, like Fresh and Fit and all these people, like the big channels. They can go on YouTube, they can say what they say, but they're demonetized. So I would do that, right? Like I would rather be demonetized and let the conversation and the topic go through than censoring myself and being monetized. So I'm going to think about this because I might do that. But I don't know because they didn't even let me make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Like they took the video off. They didn't let me know what it was. I tried to appeal it. They denied it. They didn't even give me the chance to say, well, keep the video up. I'll just demonetize. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't even give me a chance. Jay says, how exactly did you get a strike? Does someone watching the channel reports to you? So that's another thing. I don't know if that's the case either. I think that it's like a flag, like an AI type of thing, that when somebody talks about something, YouTube themselves has a bot or something that can flag it. That I'm assuming that that's the case, because I'm like, how the hell did they catch me twice so quickly? You know, and for the same thing, for the medical misinformation, which is about talking about the jabs. And it makes me think I wanted to do the C19 conversation, right? So I'm gonna have to use a whole bunch of code words just to talk about what happened to us in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like the censorship is insane. But I got the strike because of the warning. So when I shared the video for the RFK, they gave me a warning. They say don't do blank and blank for X amount of time. They give you like a parole. You can't do anything within that time period. So now I'm out of jail, but I'm on parole again. I cannot have anything to do with medical misinformation until February. And then my strike history would go away. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's stupid. Ugh, so dumb. Did they do it because of Flat Earth Day? No, they didn't. And you see how crazy and stupid that is? Like, so we can't talk about theories. We can't talk about these things. Yes, we can. We can do it. YouTube needs to lay off. Like, there's nothing wrong with talking about these things. Absolutely nothing, in my opinion. Hey, Jimmy. He says, this censoring has been going on since 2016. Glad some are finally experiencing what us OGs have been through. Yeah, but that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Like, no, no. Like I understand that it's happened to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like the last generation of digital warriors, right? But the new gen is coming in and I'm like, nah, I'm ready to overthrow the whole platform. Oh, hey, WDH. Del Real Love says Undercover JW. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I just think that YouTube is super finicky when it comes to that. Was it Leather King? No. Oh my goodness. I joined his live and it went really well. It really did. We had a nice conversation for, I don't know, like maybe 10, 15 minutes on his live. It was pretty good in my opinion, and I invited him to come. So if he wants to talk about more stuff, I hope he remembered that I was going live today. But yeah, it's amazing. Hello to everyone. Jenny was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I need to behave until February or I will get my second strike. And then I'll have a longer period of that I can't post and stuff like that. So I need to behave. So we won't talk about anything that has to do with jabs until February. Leonard says they just don't want people to know the truth. Yeah, true. Culty, hey Culty. Hey everybody. I can't keep up. What's your real hair color? Okay. If you really want to know, you're gonna have to dig deep. I did a interview and I did the lives. I did my live shows during Hurricane Milton without any wigs. So that's my natural hair and natural hair color. So you're gonna have to go back in time and see it. But yeah, this is my political wig. I have the red wig for the rants. The black wig is kind of what I started off with. So it's, sentimental. That's my first wig on camera. Then I have the blonde wig for the news. And what else? Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah, and then I have my government wig, which was like, like my ID, which I will never wear that wig. But yeah, I have a couple of wigs. And I think I'm gonna have to get a new one because I'm starting the cooking show with my cousin. So I was like, I need suggestions for a new wig for the cooking stuff. Jimmy says, time to get a channel on Rumble because YouTube will keep censoring until someone new takes over who supports and defends free. Yeah, exactly. I thought about the Rumble stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. I just want to behave until February and then see what happens. I need to test it for as long as I can. Imagine what they'll do to Bobby Kennedy. I think he'll do great, though, actually. I think he'll do very great. Josh San Diego says Josh Bernstein got banned from YouTube because someone took his words out of context. You see, that's another thing. I couldn't even appeal that. I wasn't even saying anything wrong. It was not about information. It was just our opinions. They made his words seem like he threatened an official. He just said full extent of the law. Yeah, they don't even allow you to appeal this stuff. This is why it bothers me. You ought to get a bald wig for jail videos. You guys are crazy. Just make sure the wig doesn't fall into the food. Yeah, I need a short wig. I was thinking short and curly. I don't know. Behave. That's what they want people to do. Yeah, I get it. I want to just behave long enough until those strikes go away, and then I can start from scratch. Like, I'm assuming that's how it works because that's how they made it seem. And I've never gotten a strike on YouTube before. So I want to wait until then, see if my old strikes go away, as if I could go back on a clean slate. And then I'm going to ramp it up again. Yes, I know, Jimmy. Yes, I know. How do you feel about Trump being the soon-to-be president in January? Bro, I was so excited and nervous. And I was telling Jimmy in the last stream, I can't remember which one it was, that we were having anxiety attacks. Like, it was like a moment of relief that your body finally accepted it, and it was like we could breathe finally. And I've never felt like that ever in my life. How like oppressed we really were, because we were dead scared, like legit scared of Kamala becoming president. So after that whole stream that you guys saw me, we were there for 9 hours. I was here with Quentin. It was a thing. We were so like, we were celebrating, we were happy, and then overnight we're just like, oh my god, like it kept sinking in. And then by the next day we were crying and like in relief, tears of like joy and relief. So I went through a whole roller coaster of emotions about Trump winning. I just hope that he can make it to the inauguration. What's the name of your cooking channel? So right now it's for members only. It's the same channel. I'm gonna keep everything here. So I just made like exclusive content for members. So if you want to become a member, then the video would be available for you to see. So I have one already, and then I have some recorded. We're gonna do like a Thanksgiving, stuff, and cook for Thanksgiving. Mr. G, hello. He says, how did it go with Leather King? Okay, well, I don't know him with that name, so it's kind of weird. Is that the channel name? I don't know. His name is David, and he was on, if anybody remembers, the whole like 6 screen thing on Eric's show, and I was kind of sad that he wasn't allowed to speak. And I guess it was because of what he said long time. I don't know. There's a drama with that, and I'm not a part of that beef, so I didn't really care. I wanted to hear what he had to say. So he went live on his own channel. I joined the channel, right? I spoke to him for like 15 minutes. It was amazing. I tried to help him understand, where we're coming from and how the JWs have hit a bunch of stuff and things like that. And ultimately, his reasoning was, well, it's not the responsibility of elders or the JWs to report to the police. And I was like, true, but in some states you are, and they still didn't do it then. It's like, do you really need a law to tell you to do the right thing? That's where we're coming from. It should be like a moral thing. The ethical thing to do, the right thing to do is to report it, and yet they don't. And that's how children get harmed. Like, come on now. So yeah, it was a good conversation. Yes, a weight was lifted. Exactly. Jesse says, Ruby, get over the fluff. Give us the juicy details about your date. Convo with Lever King. That was it. Like it was basically just helping him understand that just because you study with them for 5 years and you have no plans of converting, so it's not like this is personal for you, why are you defending them? That's it. Like, quite literally, I'm like, you're talking to somebody who was born and raised into something, and you're saying how, oh, just because you've never experienced this or that it doesn't happen. Come on, get your head out the sand. Those are yellow hats, right? Like, get your head out of the sand and wake up and realize that just because they're nice, well dressed, good speaking people, that it doesn't happen behind closed doors. Like, come on. Oh, hey, Gigi. David has a crush on me. I mean, he mentioned all of you guys too. And he was like, I am like excluding you guys and me, that we were kind of like the sane XJWs that have a good head on our shoulders or whatever, that can actually discuss this. And I'm like, well, that's with anybody and anything. You have to understand your audience. You have to understand who you're talking to. Eric's show and that space and those people in the audience are not ready to have that conversation. So come over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop talking to these people if they obviously are not receptive to your message. Your question is not coming across the right way. End it and say have a good night. You know what I mean? But these people, they persist and then they get banned and then it becomes a whole drama. And I don't know, it's just a waste of time for me. So I went to his channel and we had a great conversation. I'm like, you see, I understand where you're coming from, but understand these things. And that's it. Like, that's it. I don't debate the truth or the facts. I say it and that's it. The Real Love says, can't wait for the cooking show. Yeah, we're gonna do some nice videos. David loves Gigi. Oh, hey, Tad. How are you? Hi, Becky. He treated Ricky Bobby bad. Well, in my opinion, I don't think that was the case. I just think that his question was not either like said in the right way or worded like it was not correct. He didn't come across the right way. So people were taking it the wrong way. Or maybe it's just me. Like, is it just me? Like, I don't get offended by those types of things. Like, though that doesn't really bother me. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't bother me. Leonard says, one more question. How does it feel for you, a native New Yorker living in the southern South region? About what? Like, what do you mean? How does it feel for me? I mean, I love it. I love it in Florida. It's amazing. I'm thankful that I'm in a red state that understands these things. Like the politics here is aligns with my lifestyle. So it's a breeze living here. It's a breath of fresh air. And then sometimes, you have your downsides because this is not a perfect world. But other than that, most of the people I come into contact with, we agree on the same things, even if we're in different, communities. So at least we have something in common. If I was in New York, forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't live in New York. I just couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't. It's either you fake it till you make it, and I was faking it for a really long time, and that was so hard, and it was just like oozing out of me that they would look at me and they was like, "Are you a Trump supporter?" And I was like, you know what? Yeah, like, I'm done hiding this. That's how bad it was. And it was just weird and horrible to be like the only conservative person in a democratic city like New York City during COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was bad. It was really bad for me. So I was like, I need to get out of here. I can't be around these people. Like, it was horrible. It's like either you assimilate and you become one of them, or you will always be the odd one out and be outcasted. Who wants to do that? I'm already an outcast from the JWs. You know what I'm saying? So even in the regular society, you are outcasted. So I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to Trump country. I like this side of the fence better. Yep. Hey, illegal immigrant. Drama. Where is guy that do drama voice? Hola. Oh yeah, San Diego does the voice. Tad says, I lost my main source of income because of censorship. Oh, you see what I'm saying? Like, no, I think censorship is so bad, which is why America is one of the best countries in the world, because we have freedom of speech. So why is YouTube doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, censorship is so like 2020. Like, they need to stop already with this. New Yorkers have pizza for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I always fake it too. Is illegal immigrant the greatest name ever? Did you hear that Texas is the works with getting biblical teaching in schools? I didn't hear that. I would like to know more about that. And if you ever wanted to share something with me, like guys, about like political stuff, you can like post it on the Discord. They have like a news and political tab, which I check regularly so that I can keep up. But you could also email me, and I would love to like cover it. Yep, 2020. My cousin, she is from Queens, New York. Yeah. Yeah, we're from Manhattan, and my other cousin, no, she lives in Brooklyn now, but we're really much from Manhattan. And I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just like you couldn't even go downstairs and like have a nice day at the park with your kids without seeing a blue-haired, pink-haired, pierced up, tatted person half naked. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I don't want to be that type of person looking like I'm judging other people. Like I don't want to go too far, right? But at the same time, I'm like, damn, like we don't even have decent dress code for outside anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just horrible. Forget about it. In October, Becky says, in October I wear pink. Thrifty, hi Thrifty, sneaking in. Hello, hey guys. All right, guys. So the link should be at the top if anybody wants to join me, because after a little bit of censorship talk, which is going on now, I wanted to talk about the shadow government. A tad Mexican. What's up?
Hey, can you ask Tad how he lost his censorship? That's a crazy statement he made.
Oh yeah, Tad, if you don't mind sharing, what happened? How did you lose your main source of income through censorship? Well, that's the thing. I don't know like the laws in other countries like that. So I mean, he's in Japan. Is it that bad over there?
Wow, that's crazy. I thought we beat them into the First Amendment.
I mean, I don't know anything about that. I'm gonna have to educate myself.
Hey, Ruby, can I tell you a story about the election here in our county? You probably got it.
Okay.
And the Jehovah's Witness. Well, we have the Jehovah's Witness experience, huh? I wanted to share it with somebody. I talked to my sister-in-law. She's a representative in our state house. And she never got this fellowship. She was never resigned. She didn't put her disassociation, nothing. And so there's about maybe 1,000 to 2,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in our county, Spanish and English congregations. So everybody's known her since she was a baby, everybody. And you think she was running, and they spent, the Democrats and the California, who were just across the street here, came over and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to take her out. And it was not successful. But California wanted her gone. And because that's how they come into the state, they get the weakest. So the weak point they thought in Arizona was Yuma County. They already have Tucson. That's the only thing they own. They own Tucson, probably because of the University of Arizona. But anyways, not one Jehovah's Witness. The thing that they tried to take her on, it was abortion, and abortion was real big. The abortion, and not one Jehovah's Witness came over and told her, "Mija, thank you for putting up the good fight." You know, like Nicodemus went to Jesus in the middle of that. Not one Jehovah's Witness in Yuma County, Spanish or English, when they saw, because we planted one of her signs right in front of the Kingdom Hall, you know, a big billboard with her name right in front. So they saw it, you know, and but not one Jehovah's Witness came over and said, "Michelle, you're putting up the good fight. Thank you for putting up the good fight." Now, she had Catholics and Baptists and Protestants and every religion come up and help her and talk to her. But not one Jehovah's Witness said, "Hey, thank you for taking the arrows on this issue in Arizona." Can you believe that?
Because they don't care.
They're pro-choice. They're pro-abortion. You have to have the courage. So. I think they are, because this aspect, because they don't engage. They won't lift up a finger. Imagine if you were a baby and you're coming to Earth, and somebody fought for you and somebody was indifferent. Who would you say that cared about you?
The one that fought.
And that's why Jesus talks about the cold and the warm and the hot, because you were lukewarm. Yeah. They're like that evil slave who goes and buries their talent. you know,
Right.
I just,
But I, what
I'm
happened?
sorry. I just wanted to share that story in the election over here in our county with you.
Oh yeah. No, but they are yellow hats, right? Remember when we learned about the hats?
Yeah, but I didn't know yellow. What does yellow is a coward?
I basically, yeah, because
Okay.
they bury their heads in the sand and they don't want to hear it, they don't want to see it, they don't want to get involved, they don't want to talk about it. They don't it's like they just don't care enough to get involved. So
Mm.
it's like, well, then you're not participating at all, you're useless.
Oh, see, in the 80s, we were men without hats. That's a little 80s joke. So we didn't have hats. So when you tell me yellow hat, red hat, that I'm kind of too old for that. I don't know what that is. But yellow hat makes sense. They're chicken. Yellow hats are
Right,
chicken. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Now
So
the
Jesse
white
said,
hats
I
are
mean,
good people. The white hats are good people.
right, exactly.
Now
Because
what
like you said, they go out of their way and they fight the good fight. They are, they're vocal, they talk about it and all that stuff.
what is Jimmy? Jimmy's a
J-
white hat?
I think so. I mean, I forgot the other colors. I don't know if blue was a color, but I forgot because there was also a group of people that are, like they're militarized and they have more, like more information, and then they can because they're more privy to that information so they can fight against it. But there also are a group of people who just support that group of people, you know.
Okay. Now what were you gonna say about what well, let's see what Jimmy says.
He said you
You
ought to replay that clip of the hats. I don't have the clip. I don't have
maybe
it like
Jimmy could share it.
handy.
Maybe Jimmy could share it.
Yeah, okay. So your brother said he sent me a photo, but it's really okay. Here we go. I'm gonna present it. Okay, you guys should see it now.
Oh, there's the Kingdom Hall, Spanish. There's my sister-in-law and there's my
Yeah.
wife. So you see that's where you exit onto the main street. So
Right.
that's where you met in the back is jw.org, the Kingdom Hall on Avenue A in Yuma. So every time they see it, now when her mom saw it, she almost had a heart attack.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And everybody in the congregation was attacking her, the mom. But her mom has never talked to her. She's a state representative. You think the mom could say hello, good morning? Nothing. Isn't that crazy? We have a beautiful sister also, who's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. And, well, I can't talk about it, but she's a real high position. But it's a beautiful... I'm going to tell her one day to come in and talk to her. She's a real high up in the government. Oh, Jimmy's a blue hat.
Okay, you see, that's what I was gonna say. A blue hat. So if Jimmy can refresh our memories, I forgot what the role of a blue hat is.
The white hat is a good, like a white shining armor.
Oh yeah, because the white ones are going like they're the front lines. They're
They're the
gonna be
leaders.
fighting the black hats. Yeah.
They're probably in leadership. White hat, I imagine, would be in leadership.
Yes, exactly. Right. You're right.
Look at that. Primarily due to
Yeah.
my altar. Whoa, you can't put this on, Ruby. Take it down.
I did. Oh no, it's a chat. We're not saying anything.
Okay.
We're reading. We're reading.
Look, I'll read it to you. Primarily due to my outspoken opposition to
my total income last year was just 13,000, has not recovered significantly this year. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I got my strike, because I couldn't talk about that either. Yep. The chat can do it, but I can't do it. So yeah. So who asked? I think was it. Jennifer asked, did she win? And she did, right? We did a whole congratulations. We said hi to her in the last stream before my strike. So she won. So what's her position now? Like what's the seat that she won?
She's on our legislative district in our city, in our state. So we're like legislative district 23. And so last 2 years when she won, when Katie Hobbs became the governor and Carrie Lake lost, the Republicans remained that one seat because of my sister-in-law. So it was like 31-30. So the Republicans held Congress because of my sister-in-law. And no Republican has ever won it because we're only like 5 minutes from the Mexican border. So all kinds of shenanigans. We feel, our opinion, shenanigans. So when she came into the scene, she won. And it really pissed off every Democrat in the Western Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. I think they're more mad about her than they are about the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I mean, they wanted her. But hey, so you were going to talk about the shadow government. Everybody loves talking about the shadow government. Do you know something that we don't know?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a clip in a second. Okay, so Jimmy sent me this video. So really quickly, we'll just recap.
I'm gonna take notes.
And see, hit play.
We've got the black hats at one end and the white hats at the other. This is pure evil, the black hats. And at the other, we've got the white hats. In between, we have the population. Right alongside the black hats are what we call the red hats. The red hats, they have no conscience. As long as you pay them, they will do whatever they need to do to get that money. And they will follow instructions, even if it's, we want you to go kill people. Yeah, no, we want you to fly planes that spray chemicals over people that will cause deformities and death. No problem, how much you're paying. Now, the red hats will only move once the black hat's arrested. The moment the black hat gets arrested, the red hats will start talking because they're cowards. Moves the orange hats. Evidence of crime. So the orange hats are genuinely good people, but very naive. And who that evidence of crime must be delivered by the same face that has been telling them one set of lies. Then that same face needs to tell them a different set of truths because they will believe it. Because if you get on there, they say, I'm not going to believe him. But if they get a trusted face telling them the same crook, that's why the media will be one of the last groups to go, because the white hats have to use the media to communicate the truth to the orange hats, because the orange hats will get from a trusted news reporter. Today, the Prime Minister of Greece was found in bed with 15 little boys. Oh my God, it must be true because what's his name said it. Make sense? Now, if you're watching carefully, more stories are coming out. What does that tell you? And certainly in Australia, we're now getting stories of politicians and pedophilia. That never happened here. It was always covered up, never made it to the airwaves. But the fact that it's coming out now means two things. One, the white hats are controlling the media more and more. Two, the orange hats are going to start seeing evidence of crime in their trusted institutions. And it's coming from the media. So the media is going to tell them you can't trust the politicians, you can't trust the judges, you can't trust the police, you can't trust the military, you can't trust the local priest. And they will believe it. And that's going to move the orange hats. They will now join us and say, my God, it's terrible. Then you've got the yellow hats. And these are not good people. Not because they're bad. They're not evil. They don't care about anything except this. They're the ones that put their hands over there. No, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. No. They will do anything to keep left alone. They will pay more tax. They will stay at home. They will wear a mask. They will get a jab. Just leave me alone. Please don't affect my mortgage payments or my house. They will jab their kids rather than lose their house. Now, what moves these people? And this is a big chunk of the population and growing because the jab has adversely affected the psychology of the people who received it. So the yellow hats are now a bigger group because they are now turning into,
sheeple.
Now, the fear of staying where they are is greater than the fear of moving into something new. That's the only thing that'll move a yellow hat. They won't shift. They will literally bury their head in the sand, leaving their ass pointing upwards and hoping the threat will go away. But when they realize that threat is so great, they will pull their head out of the sand and run. And so the white hats have to use a different set of techniques on the orange and the yellow hats. And that yellow hat might be a scare event. Make sense now? So you've got the red hats being shown, black hats arrested. You've got the orange hats being shown from the corrupt media that the people they believe in are crooks. You've got the yellow hats who are now need a scare event. Then you've got the green. You've got the green hats. The green hats are the ones that have moved along. All of a sudden they're going, I don't know, this is not, something's wrong. They don't know what's going wrong, but they are out of this group over here. And they are the ones that we speak to. They're the ones that are open to persuasion. We say, ladies and gentlemen, look at the facts for yourself. And bit by bit, that group is starting to grow. They're starting to understand there are liars out there. Something's not right. You can't tell them about adrenochrome on day one because you lose them. But you start telling them about the things that they can swallow. And that green hat group is where we recruit. And then you've got the blue hats, that's us. We're out there right alongside the white hats doing what we can to advance as best we can victory in this war. And so that might be a sort of an explanation as to why different groups don't respond to the same motivation and why there are several elements to this war that have to be employed simultaneously to get enough people unequivocal support for what is going to come. If the price you are willing to pay for this is not your life, then you are for.
Okay, so that was an explanation of all the hats. I took notes as well because I always forget everything.
I took notes too.
Yeah, okay. So that's why we said, and like the Sky just commented, he says, sounds like my mom is a yellow hat. Pee me, yikes. That's what I said. The JWs or people who don't get involved, like Jesse said, they are quiet. As long as you don't bother them, they're fine. That's a yellow hat. So that's why I would say JWs are yellow hats because they don't care enough to get involved, even if their religious beliefs can align with those political beliefs as well. Because if the JW vote was active, imagine how many more thousands of people would get involved and push the conservative movement, which is a good thing in my opinion, because they are supposed to be anti-abortion, anti-LGBT, anti all of those things, but they don't get involved, so they can't complain and they can't do anything about it.
During the waning days of the campaign, I saw a study, and me and Gilbert did a video on it, that some estimates are that 30 million Christians, 30 million so-called American Christians, do not participate in electoral politics. Me and Gilbert had the opinion, it's just our opinion, we have no evidence, that these people have been affected by the Watchtower. Somehow, if you could trace it to their family, their aunts, uncles, that is, I think, a great portion of the 30 million are the Jehovah's Witness mindset.
Right, which is why I get involved as much as I can. Like I reject that idea entirely. So Jimmy says he's a blue hat, which is like the veterans that help out the white hats. I'm a green hat because I'm unsure, but I'm open to persuasion.
I don't know. I would consider you a blue, like Jimmy, because he used the word us. That's us, he said.
Yeah, right. But I don't think I'm there yet. I mean, like I'm awake to certain things, but I am still open to like, oh, I don't know, but maybe you're right. Let me see the facts. Let me investigate. I'm open to that persuasion. I don't think I'm a blue hat yet.
Well, being open is blue because you listen to people, and then when they're wrong, you tell them to shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess that's what comes out of a good, being a cult survivor, because now I appreciate the truth more than ever. I don't take it for granted anymore. Once I hear something that gives me, like, rubs me the wrong way, I reject it quickly. Like, no, you're wrong.
Did you see he called yellow hats sheeple?
Yes, sheeple.
What did Jimmy say? What did Jimmy say?
He said that I'm on my way to being a blue hat. So I agree with that, because it's like once I get there, I can become a great force. You know what I mean? Like you said, I'm very forward when I'm presented with a fact. But there are so many things that you can't really like prove, like how Jimmy says he can't prove it, but through like, your intuition, research, etc., you can, predict something, or you can believe in something rather than, like having faith, basically having faith that this is the truth and that there's good people out there who are doing their best.
Ruby, did you notice when he talked about the orange hats?
Orange, yeah. He said that they need a trusted source on TV to believe it.
And he called them good people. And he used the word naive, but he said they are good people. And we try to persuade them, but they need some coercing. I'm sorry. Persuasion,
convincing. Yeah.
Coercing.
Yeah. No, but I get what you mean. Okay, well, actually, no, that's a good thing. We can move into the shadow government, because you said you made a comment before. Oh,
That's
yeah.
everybody's favorite subject.
Well, okay, let me ask Jimmy in the chat. Is there a difference between a shadow government and the deep state, or do you think that that's the same thing? What, let me get your opinion, Jesse, since you're already here. What do you think? Do you think the shadow government is different or the same?
Quick, for the sake of brevity, I think it is different word.
Okay. Because this happened recently, and I don't know if you saw it, but they were literally saying that they are instituting, or they have instituted, a shadow government in defiance of Trump's win. Did you see that?
No. A couple days ago, huh?
So I have it here because I'm gonna play this out.
Okay.
And I am in shock, honestly. Let me get this up and running. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna play it now.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad. Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary, and Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and corporations. As Shadow Defense Secretary, Congressman Adam Smith, a great representative for the people of Washington and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator. And Senator Tammy Duckworth could argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have so rightly earned. If Trump hands over the EPA to big oil ally Lee Zeldin, we could see Congresswoman Kathy Castor pushing back for environmental protection and conservation to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as Shadow Secretary of Health and Human Services to defend women's right to choose and argue against the gutting of Medicare by Trump and his cronies. Mr. Speaker, new times require new solutions. The shadow cabinet isn't just about opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government. It's also about making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against.
Yep. So I saw that a couple days ago, and I am in shock that this man said that out loud.
You know, this is the way I see it as an older man. Man. To me, those are talking points because at the end of the day, Democrats don't have power. So what he's putting out, like he says, if Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, will act this way. So what they're giving you the game, how the Democrats are going to play. But theoretically, on paper, they have no power. They're powerless. They don't control any of the pillars of government. But they're going to be obstructionists. So he was laying out the agenda of being obstructionists. But here's another interesting point. How, like, for instance, Tom Homan talked about the illegal immigrants. Let's talk about the illegal immigrants. Have you ever helped an illegal immigrant? An illegal alien?
No.
I was doing an air conditioning one Sunday night, and it was about 110 degrees in Yuma. And it was a Sunday after the Kingdom Hall. I had been, and I went out to the edge of town on the Barry Goldwater bombing range, which is directly north of Mexico. And this is about maybe 20 years ago. I don't know why. I just went out there. Something called me to go out there and to work on a house. And I was at the edge of the desert. And I saw a body coming over the desert, a well-dressed man. This was after 911. Yes. Yeah. It was after 911. And this guy came and he asked me for agua. So I went out to my truck and I gave him some water and he passed out in my truck. I mean, on the house I was working on, doing the air conditioning ductwork.
No way.
And about a half an hour, he came to. I noticed he wasn't dead. And some coyotes dropped him off in Yuma. And that path out there in the desert is called El Camino del Diablo, the road of the devil. The Spanish conquistadors named it in the 1500s. It's the road of the devil. Well, anyways, the guy asked me for a ride, and I told him, look, I can't give you a ride. I could tell you where to go, but I'm in a company truck. So I emptied out my wallet. I gave him all my money, and I gave him all my water and food, and I told him where to go, to the gas station. But I didn't harbor an illegal alien. I helped him. I gave him humanitarian assistance. I gave him my food and water. But I didn't allow him into my vehicle because I'm a businessman. I can't. So I'm faithful to the United States government, and I don't harbor illegal aliens, which is different than Barack Obama and Joe Biden. They actually harbor illegal aliens. So this is how they're the shadow government. They disobey the spirit of the law. They disobey that. They just won't enforce the law. But you and I, an average citizen who does the same thing as they'll throw us in jail. But Democrats every day turn a blind eye to justice, and nothing ever happens to these evil people because they're spiritually not Americans. They don't have the spirit of America. That's how come all these Border Patrol agents that are helping in the invasion of the United States, of these illegal immigrants, they get away with it. Any of us do it, it's called harboring. Like Tom Homan said, you cannot harbor illegal. It's against the law. But yet people are doing it every day. How are they doing it? They're the shadow government. They're out in the open. They're breaking American laws every day in front of our face.
Exactly. But that video to me, and he was name dropping a bunch of people. Isn't that treasonous?
I don't think so, because go back and listen to him. He was not implying direct treasonous acts. He says, if Marco Rubio does this, we will do this. But watch, replay it and look at the way he worded it. He worded it as a political move instead of an actual physical move. Watch, can you play it? You'll see how he's skirting the line.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general.
Okay, I'll pause right there. He says, if Trump does this with Matt Gaetz at the top, then we can move in so-and-so as our shadow attorney general.
See, he's speculating. He's wargaming it. He's not really saying that they're doing it. So this is like Bill Clinton when they asked him if he had sex with Monica Lewinsky. And he goes, it's a definition of is. It's semantics. It's like if a lawyer wrote his speech. It's, yes, the spirit is treason. Yes, we understand that. But if in a court of law, no, it's not. He's playing out the battle game.
That doesn't make any sense to me, first of all, because number one, right, we function as a democracy. America spoke and said, we want Trump and his administration and his cabinet, whoever he picks, it doesn't really matter because they want Trump. They trust Trump as the president. If they are outwardly saying in public, like you see this man right there, saying that we're going to defy what this incoming president is going to do, how is that legal?
Because it's called politics. For example, let's say if they bring in a person, and Health and Human Secretary, that mandates that we all get the yabba dabba do, we will defy it. See, so it's political speech, and political speech is protected in our Constitution.
Okay.
So it's not treasonous. It's backstabbing and deceitful, but it's not treasonous. It wouldn't stand up in a court of law under treason. He's laying out this is how they're going to fight, though. This is how they're going to obstruct politically.
But they can do that because they've always done it. But they've never actually said, like you see him so boldly saying, that we are going to put so-and-so in as if it's a replacement of whoever Trump puts in.
But listen to his words. If. So he's not saying they're going to do it. Go back and you'll listen to every one of his arguments. He always says it speculatively. Watch. Play it again.
Okay.
He's protecting himself.
Okay.
Arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States.
See, stop.
Okay, so just
There's
because
nothing
he
tri-
uses the word if?
Yeah, if and can. He's not saying that they did it or they were going to do it. He says she can. So he's playing with the words very carefully. He's not saying that they're going to do it. He goes, if Trump dismantles the Department of Education, she could stand up and do this. So but what he's doing, he's letting the cat out of the bag. That's how they're going to act as obstructionist. And it's called politics because you got to remember, the old adage is all is fair in love and war. All is fair in love and war. The Democrats know how to play. For example, we conservatives are in jail. January 6ers, people on our side are in jail. We didn't jail Eric Holder. We didn't jail no Democrat. You know, we didn't kick out Bill Clinton. They kicked out Nixon. They know how to exercise power. And so they're playing politics. It's not treasonous. It's not treasonous, but it's going against the spirit of America, their behavior. There's not even a honeymoon period. There's not even a honeymoon period with Donald Trump. Right. America and Donald Trump can't even have a honeymoon. These people are already out to attack him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you don't consider this treasonous, even though I kind of do because it doesn't sit well with me, but if you don't consider it, then in your opinion, what would be? Because for me, this takes it because I've never heard or seen anything like this. So what would be treasonous in your opinion? Or if you have like an example?
Well, there's a lot of treason going on right now. For example, starting World War III. Mm-hmm. But we could do it. Look, everything that's happening right now, starting World War III, the bombing in Ukraine, starting World War III, it ends. Mm-hmm. It ends life as we know it. All life ceases to end. So all these arguments are semantics. Mm-hmm. It's nothing. So to me, starting a world war, that's kind of treasonous.
And you feel as if that's happening right now?
Every day, yeah. ICBMs were launched into the Ukraine it's never been happened before. During Kennedy and Khrushchev in the 1960s in the Bay of Pigs, in the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Russia parked ICBMs outside of Cuba, it was like the world was going to end, but nobody had ever used them until today.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I agree with Jimmy. He says World War III will not happen. It's all saber rattling.
Yes, but even if it's saber rattling, I agree with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. I agree. But you don't mess around with nuclear weapons.
Right, exactly. It shouldn't even gone this. It should have not gone this far.
It's called mutually assured destruction, MAD, détente. In the highest days of the Cold War, Nixon and Khrushchev, they had phones. Mm-hmm. They had phones. Or Khrushchev and Jimmy Carter, they could talk on the phone. There's nobody talking right now. They're crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's happening. But I just saw on Twitter that Joe Biden tweeted a few hours ago that good news, something about Israel and Hezbollah, that was resolved or something like that. I think it's a distraction to take away from what has been happening with the whole Ukraine and Russia stuff to make it look like he's doing something.
Yeah, but you know what, Ruby, on the treason thing, I think it's real careful because I think the Democrats are playing politics. I believe that they're letting the cat out of the bag, how they're going to behave. But at the end of the day, we could not make a criminal case. If we were in a court of law, it's not treasonous. It's called political speech. And it's real dangerous to call it treasonous because let's say we obstruct like Martin Luther King did. Let's say they come up with some racist thing that Mexicans can't be Republicans. And I do a hunger strike. Me and Gilbert go on a hunger strike. And God forbid we lose 25 pounds each. Yeah. And you see, they're going to call us traitorous when it's political speech. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of the First Amendment. That's the beauty. Even our enemies have that freedom. That's what makes us uniquely American. These Democrats are acting like world-class assholes,
Right.
but it's politically protected speech.
Okay. But that's the difference for me. As regular, like average Americans, we can do that. We can civilly disobey or like obstruct, whatever you want to call it. We have that right to protest and or disobey, outright disobey. But this is in an elected person in the House, I believe. I'm not sure, but that's where he's speaking from. And he's talking about other elected officials literally saying, we will defy, basically, we will defy and we'll set up so and so if Trump does this. That doesn't sit right with me. If you are elected, you are supposed to follow the way the government moves, even if it's not in your favor or your party.
Correct. But since the time, I think, of Dwight David Eisenhower, John McCain, the Republicans had no bite. So the Democrats can throw us out in Watergate. The Democrats, John McCain, reach across the aisle. We've all been neutered. We only had an 8-year period when we had bite. That was with Ronald Reagan. But I think what we're seeing now, like Tom Homan said, you can defy us on the illegal immigrant. But if you harbor, and he cites the law, says, I'll throw you in jail. So you had never heard a Republican speak that way, a conservative speak that way, since Ronald Reagan, since maybe Abraham Lincoln. So now I think there's bite. They can talk all they want because it's politically allowed speech. But if they really go against a legal law, you could see the Department of Justice arresting those people if they're breaking a true law. But their speech is protected.
Okay, so you can say whatever you want to say, you just can't do nothing about it or you get arrested.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, that's what it confuses me a little bit, because basically what you're saying is, so they can talk this talk, they can have this like shadow government, and that it's legal up until a certain point, whereas he's already saying it. Why can't we prevent this from happening?
Because you can't prove that it's a true government. It's a government in his mind, but you would have to do an investigation and prove it. It would cost billions of dollars and lawyers. So he could say, Your Honor, I'm just imagining how we can resist Donald Trump's presidency. It's called political speech. It's political speech. It's approved. It happens all the time. People burn the American flag. A lot of us consider that treasonous, but they can do it.
But they can't. That's already illegal.
But they do. And nobody arrests them. So the law is a spirit.
It should be enforced. That's what I'm saying. These things
Exactly.
shouldn't be like nothing. It should be enforced.
What is law? What is the law? It's a force. It's a spirit. Nobody has the spirit to enforce that law. What I'm saying is, now you have some people on the Republican side who have a little bite. They tasted tuna, and tuna tastes good. They're going to start arresting people who are doing that. If you're breaking an American law, you're going to get arrested.
But then they call that retribution, or that he's trying to get vengeance on these people who were politically persecuted.
Not if you cite, let's say, for example, let's just take it example. Let's say a mayor of some city, big city, actually puts illegal immigrants in a safe house. Now he's harboring. Now that could be proven in a court of law. But to say you're going to do it, it's not against the law.
Okay.
It's it's political speech. Now it's stupid speech. For example, if you talk to any criminal, do you have any criminal friends?
No.
If you have any,
no.
if you ever run around criminal friends, you know, the guys that have been in jail, beat their wives, do all that stuff, tell them, hey, I'm going to kill you. You know what they're going to tell you? You just incriminated yourself. So speech is dangerous. Even though you have freedom of speech, it's kind of stupid to speak that way. So this congressman that was speaking that way, maybe it's protected speech, but he's a very stupid man because he let the cat out of the bag of what he's going to do. Imagine if it works out the way he's saying. Somebody can get that video and show it to the judge. Look, he told it. He confessed right here. He premeditated himself.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That he's already saying it. Why isn't it being prevented? But then the reverse Uno card is that if Trump comes in and they start going after the people that were trying to, weaponize the justice system, etc., what we've been seeing, all of a sudden now it's bad. Like now it's not good. Oh, he shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be doing that. I don't understand that. Like, this is the type of guy who should be getting a trial or whatever, like for what he's saying.
But
I
you know
don't
what, Ruby? Here's another thing. When you're real young, you don't understand this point.
Mhm.
When you see a stupid person, he gets a microphone. What do?
You let him, don't interfere.
Give him more rope. He's
Yeah,
giving you the game plan. He's giving you the name and the times and the dates and the stamps.
right.
So he's doing more damage than good. They're only hurting
Exactly.
themselves. They're like those. Do you remember in that movie I Am Legend, where you
Yeah.
had those dark seekers and they went out and beat their heads in? That's what he's doing. He's beating his head into the asphalt. Give him more rope.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess this is why some people say they don't like a democracy, because in democracies this type of stuff happens, whereas if it was like a different type of government or monarchy, this guy like off with his head. Like, people like this.
We're not a democracy, though. We're not a democracy. We're a
Right,
representative.
right. I
Representative
get
democracy.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, they
But
represent us. Mhm.
right, but that's what I'm saying. How is this guy who's supposed to represent his state or district or whatever, how is he saying this type of stuff?
Do you remember Cenk Uygur when he was talking to Professor Lichtman a couple of days ago on Piers Morgan? And
No,
he
I
had the
don't think I
13
watched.
keys. He had the 13 keys to the.
No.
And Cenk Uygur, he kept going, woohoo, woohoo, cuckoo. This guy up there, he's cuckoo. You
Mhm.
gotta let him go. He's hurting himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the truth will weigh out. Yeah. We're not going to win every battle. Some of them have to play out. Mhm. Some of them have to play out. Now, that's really not the shadow government. This is the shadow government. The shadow government is somebody who does it. And the same thing happened with us. In World War I, during the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, there was people who owned factories and warehouses.
Mhm.
And then the communists, the Bolsheviks came in and they expropriated, they nationalized all the wheels of production.
Mhm.
If you were a business owner, let's say you guys made wheels, okay? Let's say you guys made wheels and you had the machine and you're the number one, you and your husband are the number one wheel manufacturer in Russia in 1917, 1918, 1919. And Vladimir Lenin came in and he took away your business, took away your house, and now you're living in a shed out in the back, no heat, no insulation in the walls. They took away your
Mhm.
house and gave it to the kulaks. And they make you work one of the shifts making wheels. What do you do as a worker?
Go to
You,
work.
I'm going to say, see if you remember this. You put a
Mhm.
wrench in the system. You
Mhm.
rage against the machine. You put a wrench in it. Have you ever heard that saying? You put a
I
wrench in
haven't.
it? Okay, put a wrench in the system. That's what us business owners did. That's what our farmers did. That's what our churches did when they went into the Russian Orthodox Church and killed all the priests and installed a communist priest. And they burned down everything. They took the gold, took everything, and the wine, everything, and the Bibles.
Mhm.
You would go put a wrench in the system. When nobody's looking, you'd break the wheels of production. So we do it too, because all is fair in love and war. All is fair in love and war. They're doing the same thing, but in reverse. They're the bad guys, and they're telling them
Mhm.
how they're going to hurt us good guys. Satan
Right.
never sleeps.
Mhm. Wow, yeah. That was a lot. I agree with that. Um
Ruby, I got to go. My minutes are up because I'm a tad Mexican and I didn't charge up good.
That's okay. Wow,
Okay.
thank you, Jesse. You gave me a lot to think about. Thank you
Okay, I'll
so
talk to you
much
guys
for
later.
coming.
Great show.
Okay, bye, Jesse. Wow, that was amazing. That's why I love when other people come on here and educate me on stuff. That was amazing. I am going to check the comments in a second. And I will see what are you guys, how do you guys feel about this subject? about a shadow government or the deep state, because I don't like it at all. It does not give me a good feeling at all. Beverly says that she heard that expression before. Nice, Beverly. And I know that you guys, like most of you guys, are older than me, so you guys are watching me learn live, like right now. You guys are watching the learning process. Okay, Jay says he loved I Am Legend. Yeah, that movie was crazy. Beverly says they are free to leave America, right? Yep, and some of them have. All of these celebrities threatening to leave America if Trump wins. Some of them have gone. It's a great sight to see. Oh, this is a good comment from Thrifty. She says the incoming Bordazar Tom Homan threatened to arrest the mayor of Denver if he interferes or tries to stop deportation of illegals. He is targeting gang members. I heard about this and I was like, wow, it's about to get real. And I can't wait to watch it. We need to get our popcorn out. Oh, this is another good comment from Joseph. He says Joe Biden's administration is now going to send or give Zelensky nuclear weapons. This is a red line for Putin. Yep. I've heard about this stuff, but I haven't really been like, I didn't dive into it. I've heard about it, but it's getting intense. But like Jimmy said before, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that that's the reason why Trump is going to get in and hopefully, handle things or at least talk to Putin before and be like, yo, just wait for me to get in the White House. I hope Putin doesn't, act hastily. Thrifty says Ellen went to the UK to join the shadow cabinet. Yeah, I saw that in the news that she moved away. There was another actress that moved away. I'm happy to see it. I mean, honestly, I am waiting for the day for Hollywood to fall. When are those the Epstein list? When is it coming out? Right? Like, how long have we been waiting? John Marciano says, I think it's there if you consider what's been going on the last 4 years. JG says, is Jimmy joining the chat? He's always so informative and super entertaining. He is. And maybe he stepped out. I don't know. I haven't seen any recent chats from Jimmy. But Jimmy just got home from a vacation. I saw on Twitter he put that he came to Sarasota and he is back home now. So he had a nice vacation. So I don't know if he's going to join or anything like that, but it's always nice to see Jimmy and Gigi and Jesse, my favorite people. Beverly says good. Jimmy hopefully joins. Kat says those that you can't say anything about are the ones that are doing the most damage. Kat, give me a hint. Give me a hint. Listen, I'm interested. If anybody has seen my Twitter, I always say this, it's worse than YouTube. But if anybody sees my Twitter, I am opening up my mind to those who we can't talk about in relation to, politics and the worldview and literally everything, especially Hollywood. So, Cat B, if you don't mind giving me a little hint, let me know what you mean without saying it if you don't want to be, too bold with it. But let me know what you mean, Cat. Yep. Well, guys, let me know if you guys want to talk about anything. I am open. And it's about 10 o'clock my time. So I'll stay on for a few more minutes and then I will wrap it up because I really got to talk about everything I wanted to, like the censorship and that shadow government. Like that video really bothered me. I was like, how was this guy allowed to say this and talk like this? I don't know. It was really confusing. And if you are on Twitter and you see the comments, I was like, okay. Ooh. I have I'm checking my bookmarks on Twitter right now. I'm gonna check this video. Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah, I'm gonna play this video, guys. I'm gonna play this video. Oh, I just found a gem in my bookmarks. Oh, before I do this video, let me get to your comments. Beverly says, "Isn't it amazing? Israel, Hamasaki ceasefire. Northern and southern border countries are coming to the table to talk with Trump. Cami gave a speech. Lord have mercy." Oh, I think I saw a clip of Kamala on Twitter. Maybe I can show it with you guys in a minute. Oh, Jimmy says, "Let me refill my coffee. I'll be on camera." Okay, good, because I would love to know Jimmy's perspective on this shadow government. Because I don't know. I mean, I agree with Jesse, but at the same time, I'm like, nah. Like, I'm a little more nationalistic. And I'm like, no, this is anti-American. You need to go. The Sky says, random thought? Random though, Ruby. Random thought. Okay, random thought. Ruby, what do you think about space being the ocean and there are aliens? Just stop it. Stop it. Nope. Sorry, the Sky. Sorry, not tonight. Nope. I will bookmark. I will star this. And we're going to talk about that another. Nope. Let me get a paper. Nah, chill. Y'all need to stop. I will revisit aliens and like the whole flat earth episode gave me anxiety for days. So hold on. Let me write this down. Space being in the ocean. Stop playing with me. And there are aliens in the ocean. Oh my God, no. But I love it. I'm going to look it up. Aliens in the ocean. I need to go down a few rabbit holes before I have an opinion on that. And that's why I like you know, when you guys give me like a theory or something. Because I'm still stuck on flat earth. You know what I'm saying? Oh, my goodness. Yes, John, thank you. A mocha for Jimmy. Censorship by the government. Oh, okay, Kat. I thought you meant like a certain group of people that we can't talk about. Because I've been going down a rabbit hole lately. And I'm not gonna even go. I'm gonna wait till February till my strike, parole is up, because I don't want to get another strike. The little hats. Bravo to Jimmy. Hamas. Okay. Yes, Beverly. I know a little bit about that. Thrifty says aliens and UAP hearings. Jay says, Ruby, you're hilarious. I don't try to be, for real. The Sky says, I've been on that side of TikTok. That's what it is. You people are on TikTok. I don't use TikTok at all. Like, thank God I never even had an account to begin with. I mean, I tried it and I was like, nah, this is not for me. This is for Gen Alpha, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Joseph says, the deep state or shadow governments have existed since mankind started civilization. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like sometimes, you know how I said like before in those other streams, if it's a bad thing or a good thing, like sometimes it's good to have people behind the scenes and giving intel or information, things like that. But it's like the kind of deep state we got now is evil. So it's like, I don't know. Is it like, should we abolish it entirely and be 100% transparent? Or should we fix what we already have? Because in my opinion, I'm like, abolish. I'm an abolitionist. I want to abolish everything that has a 3-letter in it or a government agency, that any arm of the government, I want to abolish it. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence. That's why I'm a green hat, because I don't know yet. I'm on the fence with a lot of things. San Diego says he's never tried TikTok. Yeah, I tried it once when I was like, nacho. But I do like the TikToks. You know how they put it on Instagram and you could do reels? Like, that's how I get my info. So I would have to do this whole space thing in a minute. Oh, hi, Jimmy.
Hey, good evening.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, the volume on your side. Let me log back out and log back in and see if the volume's better.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, let me know if you guys can hear me good. Can you hear me? TikTok has been putting me on game, Ruby, and I'm Gen Z. Funny enough, I was anti-TikTok in the pandemic. Okay. All right. I don't do TikTok, Facebook. Yeah, I really just do Twitter. Okay, Jimmy, how's it now?
It's still crappy.
I hope it's not me. Maybe I could just hire myself.
I don't know. I mean, everybody was sounding good when I was off cam. Okay. It's hard to hear you. I apologize, folks. Let me try this again. I'm just going to shut everything down and start over.
Okay. Yes, I love Jimmy. Can't fix like Watchtower. I think they have to go down. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna abolish everything. Joseph says, if you study international economics, you will understand. Study more than a history professor. Yeah, I need to start that. Honestly, I do need to start educating myself. Yes. San Diego says yes. Facebook, YouTube. Considering Instagram. Yeah, I only use that for like family stuff, and then for you guys and things like that, YouTube. But other than that, I'm on Twitter. That's the best place, the most free place to be. We will wait patiently. San Diego's back and gonna do Jehovah voice. Okay, so this was the video that I wanted to show you guys. So hold on. That Trump said, and this was posted 2 weeks ago on this YouTube thing. He said, it's entitled Donald Trump Unveils Bold Plan to Dismantle American Deep State. So wanted to play it for you guys.
Our democracy first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. It doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
How could anybody be against that?
Exactly.
I don't understand that. And
Well,
how
hey.
can we have this guy on the floor saying that he's gonna have a shadow government? You gotta tell me what you think.
Okay, so first off, I want to acknowledge the folks in the comments. Thank you guys for such kind words towards me. I really do appreciate that. Second, I want to say I have been, I took a break after the campaign season, after the election, after all that emotion. It was just perfect timing for me to head down to Florida for my yearly vacation. And so I just got back Saturday night. And when you go on vacation, it takes a couple of days to catch back up on stuff in life in general. But also, I've been out of the loop for about 10 days. I haven't stayed up with everything for about 10 days. So I do know that a lot has happened over the last 10 days. It'll take me about 3 days to get caught back up. I got to go check my sources that I normally check, and then I'll be back on track with everything. But it's kind of interesting because right now, I think what we're experiencing, there's kind of a calmness. It's just way too quiet right now. And it's been that way, since about 2 or 3 days after the election. And so I do know that there's a lot of moves going on, a lot of things. Trump has appointed some people to his cabinet position, but I've just been sitting back and watching and listening to certain things because I think these are all chess moves on his part and his real people that he wants in his cabinet. I think these are chess moves to flush out more rhinos and to flush out more deep staters, so to speak. So that's why, like when he talked about Gates, I think that was, I didn't like the move, but I was like, okay, there's something else going on here. And then the next thing you know, Pam Bondi is being appointed or nominated to be the next Attorney General of the United States, which I think she would be awesome. So, and Rubio, I'm not a real big fan of Rubio. He seems to be, in his past, he's been a war hawk. So I don't know if it's just to keep him, keep reins on him and get him out of the Senate. Because if he's taken out of the Senate because of this new position as Secretary of State, then Governor DeSantis can appoint somebody else to take that Senate spot. And could it be Gates? Don't know. We'll see what happens. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and the left and the media is reacting to everything going on. They're not, of course, that's what they do, and that's what a lot of people on social media do. They just react to everything. There is a time you just got to sit back and just, excuse the expression, enjoy the show, because that's what this is. And that guy coming out and saying, oh, well, if Trump does this, we're going to appoint this person as a shadow. That is based, that, you know what that was?
What?
That was showing the American, that they were literally telling you, the American people, what they want to do, but also what they have been doing for
Right.
many, many years. So, the deep state, a lot of people just think it's government. Well, it's not just government. It's also your 3-letter agencies. Look at the CDC and the WHO. For example, who put all these mandates on everybody back in 2020?
The CDC.
Yeah. Is it a government? Is it a government institution?
I don't think so.
No, it's a private corporation.
Right.
But like with the Federal Reserve, because it says federal, people think it's part of the government. Well, it's not. It's a private bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so these agencies are also players in the deep state. And the deep state needs a propaganda machine, and not just for the news, but for religious purposes as well. That's why I have always said, and will die on a hill saying, that Watchtower is nothing but a propaganda arm of the deep state.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to put another definition on deep state, of course, globalist, or the elite, the ones that want the new world order. That is what the deep state is. It's these families, it's these 3-letter agencies, it's corrupt government officials. You have your attorney generals, your prosecutors. I mean, it goes down the line. When they say the swamp is large, it's very, very large. And I know that people say, oh, well, we want to drain the swamp. Yeah, but do you know how long that has to take to get rid of all of them?
Right.
Because you got to get rid of everyone so that it doesn't rear its ugly head in 10, 15, 20 years. And that's why this time period is so important for people to open their eyes, put a green hat on, and pay attention to what is happening. Because if we don't, and we the people, not just here in the United States, but around the world, if we the people do not recognize the problem and identify it, okay, it'll be gotten rid of. But if you don't understand it, how can you explain that to your children? How are your children going to be able to explain it to their children? So as when these things rear their ugly head in government later down the road, generation, how will they identify it? And they will have, I mean, our founding fathers knew what a tyrannical government was. They just fought it.
Right.
And they taught everybody. I mean, they lived in a tyrannical government. We have lived in a tyrannical government.
Right.
And too many people say, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Bullshit. There's a lot we can do about it. And it starts with educating yourself without the media lens, and focusing on things that you need to learn about so you can tell others and warn others. So that the words of Benjamin Franklin, he said this. He said, he told a lady asked him, what kind of government do we have? He says, a constitutional republic, as long as you can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Does that mean we just go about our daily lives and just, oh, whatever the government's going to do, the government's going to do? Well, if that's the case, then you're going to be a freaking slave for the rest of your life. And your generations will be slaves because you haven't learned anything to pass that information on.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to treason, yeah, I mean, what that guy is outlining, yeah, in my opinion, 100% treason. That's exactly what he's advocating for. You can argue that it's an opposition party trying to defend their platform and fight back against, but no, what he was saying was all treasonous acts, future treasonous acts.
Right. Agreed.
I think for the viewers, can you pull up the definition of treason? Because people hear that word a lot, but I
Okay.
guarantee you, if I ask somebody what does treason mean, they wouldn't be able to answer it.
Okay, so Google says treason, the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government.
Okay, so kill the sovereign. What does that mean? If you have open borders, do you have a country?
No.
No. So the sovereignty of the United States would be under fire, correct?
Yeah.
So anybody, any government official, I don't care who it is advocating for an open border, that's treasonous to the Constitution. Because one of the main things that the federal government is supposed to do is to protect our sovereignty and protect our borders. So anybody out there calling for an open border, it's treasonous. Spying on one's campaign that Trump talked about. You know, I don't think a lot of people understand what Obamagate is, what the FISA warrants were. Why was Comey, Strzok, Page, Brennan? Why are these players important? Because a lot of folks don't know this. And they need to go back and look and understand what happened during President Trump's first campaign in 2015, 2016.
Right. Okay.
We might need to do a show on it because I mean it's deep. I mean I can show you a graph and it's called Obamagate. But it's like there's so many moving pieces to this thing. The FBI is involved, the CIA is involved, the NSA is involved. Corrupt
when
judges.
are they ever not involved?
Yeah, the corrupt judges who allowed these FISA warrants. Do a search on what is FISA, FISA.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. What is FISA? Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
Okay.
1978.
Okay. Is there a paragraph, a quick paragraph explaining what?
Okay, I'll share it here on the screen. It says that it is a United States federal law that establishes procedures for the surveillance and collection of, hold on, I have to click in it, of foreign intelligence on domestic soil.
Okay. So basically what that means is these people, these corrupt politicians, they were going to the FISA courts and presenting false evidence to be able to get those FISA warrants that would allow them to spy on one's communications. And that's why this story is so important. Because if they can present a judge with false information and get that judge to issue a FISA warrant, if they could do it to President Trump, they can do it to any American.
Okay.
All right. So folks need to go back and look up why I mentioned Brennan, John Brennan, Jim Comey. And then when they were doing the investigation for Russiagate, it's kind of funny because they can request the FOIA records, Freedom of Information Act. But what they were doing is when they would put in Comey, Comey, they would spell it Corney. So when you did a search for Comey, nothing came up. But if you did a search for Corney, because it looks like Comey, if you write it out, then that's how they found this information through the Freedom of Information Act, is because they had to decipher how they were hiding their evidence. So that whole thing, that's all treasonous. Okay.
We're gonna have to do a show about that so we can dive into
Yeah,
Like
that's
what
all
specific
treasonous.
specifics?
Hillary Clinton selling secrets to, or selling uranium and nuclear secrets to Russia. That's treason.
Oh yeah,
That,
that's a no-brainer.
yeah, that happened. So there's a lot of different things that can fall into the treason category, and these people have been doing it for years, and they've been caught. This is why we say we have all the information.
So then what would be your response to when Jesse says, sorry, Article 1, Section 6, Clause 1 of the USA Constitution allows that stupid speech, not treason, but stupid?
Well, it's okay. So it is a stupid speech, but what he's saying advocates for treason. Because
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so there's two things here. It's not just one thing. He can say whatever he wants to say, but why is he saying it? What do we know about the deep state playbook? Well, they have to tell what they're going to do. Hollywood, it's in Hollywood, it's in our movies, it's in our music. They have to tell you what they're going to do. So that's what this guy was doing. So, like, I understand where Jesse's coming from, because he's saying, well, they're just appointing somebody to fight their fight on that side. Okay, I get that, but if they succeeded, that's when it becomes treason, because it goes against the Constitution.
Right.
So technically, anything that goes against the Constitution is treasonous. This guy giving his little speech, that doesn't go against the Constitution because he does have free speech. If they act upon what he's saying, then yes, that is treasonous.
Right. Okay. I finally got that down packed. I accept it now, because before, when I saw that, I was like, he should be dragged out on handcuffs. like why is he even allowed to say that? Go ahead.
And that's good that you recognize that, because that's what we want people to realize. You want to be able to look at that speech, and most people, they would just brush it off and be like, oh, it's just another politician running his mouth. And they don't give it the time of day. But that's a very important clip to listen to, because it will teach you something. And so you picked up on it. We need more people to pick up on things like that.
Right. And it wasn't only that he said it, because I do understand free speech, but it got me more angry that he said it in the setting that it was. Like, it was on the House floor.
Yeah.
He was at work, basically, right? That's his job. And he's saying that for the whole America to see. It wasn't like a news interview, or like he's talking with his friend or something like that. I would be like, oh, well, he's not like in the corporate setting, like the official. He's not saying this officially. He's saying it unofficially to like a friend or like the news outside. He's saying it in the house, like officially on the floor, speaking to everyone, and being so bold to say what he said. That's what got me upset, because I'm like, no, you should respect your position a little bit more and represent Americans better than that.
For me, I approach it a little bit differently, in the way what he said, and this is the way I view it. The deep state does like to do everything, or they have liked to do everything undercover, quietly, secretly, so the people don't know. We just need to put little messages out there so we just get people on board. By this guy doing that speech, this tells me that they are in complete panic mode, because I don't think this would have ever happened if they weren't freaking out over a Trump presidency.
Right. Or if Trump would have died that day, we would have never seen any of this at all, because we wouldn't even be
having this conversation about a guy talking about these shadow appointments. That would have never happened. So to me, it just shows panic. Kind of like with
Right,
Rachel,
exactly.
kind of like with Rachel Mad Cow,
Mhm.
with her panicking over the freedom of speech that is now existing on X. Oh, she's
Right.
freaking out about that.
They hate it. They hate it so much. And I'm like, why would you be against this? This is amazing. This is how it should always be, online or offline. You should
If
be
you
able to say what you want.
if you had a narrative that you wanted to push that you knew wasn't going to be popular with the people, then you're going to try to shut down anything that goes against that. That's why we have censoring. That's why YouTube's done what they've done to many of us. Put strikes on us because they want to shut us up. Why do you think
Right.
the First Amendment has freedom of speech in it? That's the number one amendment
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want people talking. It's amazing.
Yeah.
When you've dug enough and you can understand the playbooks, that's why, like I said, the last 10 days or so, I've just been kind of just sitting back and, I've scrolled through my X feed. I've scrolled through a couple of other my news stuff, but I haven't watched my videos and I've done my in-depth digging. But
Right.
when you understand their playbook, you can see it every day. You can see it every day. And there's a lot more coming. I mean, I do know that. I've been watching some of the other stuff on X, and yeah, I believe we're in a calm before a storm because I think some shit's going to hit the fan here soon.
Right. Oh, but talking about what you mentioned before, when you use the example of the CDC, in my mind, what like the first thing that came to my mind was, yes, it was like an arm, like you said, of the deep state. But even if they did have the governmental authority, why would you listen to them? Even if it was the government telling you, wear this mask, take this jab, or do what I say, why would you do it anyways? Let alone knowing the fact that they are not government official or backed or anything. And the CDC is going on the news, and Anthony, Fauci was saying what he's saying despite everything that we already know. Why would you listen to a guy named Fauci on the TV?
Because most of the people out there, they'll see the CDC as a reputable organization that's just trying to keep Americans and people of the world safe and healthy. That's how most Americans view that, because
I don't.
that's how the CDC has and not only them but the WHO. This is
Right.
how they presented themselves as global authorities of people's health. Well, if one of your agendas was to depopulate the earth, and don't anybody tell me that that's not one of their agendas because it's written in stone, which
Yep.
doesn't exist anymore on the Georgia Guidestones.
Mhm.
If you wanted if your goal was to depopulate people, what's the best way than fooling people to think that you're actually working for their benefit and their health when you're actually killing them?
Right, exactly. It's twisted. But you see,
Yes.
like Jesse says, Ruby, because they're yellow hats. But the point is to, like, okay, maybe it's just my personal upbringing, because my mom was so fanatical that she didn't even allow TVs or cable in my house. So I grew up without TV. I did not look up to people or like understand, like, when they say credible or
Yeah.
trusted source. Like that was not in my vocabulary. I do not view them at all, like quite literally. And I see other people looking at the TV and like, oh, this must be real because so and so said it. Like the orange hats, they need a trusted source. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need no trusted source. I don't need
Mm-hmm.
no expert. I don't need nothing or nobody to tell me what's right or wrong, or to make a decision about something. And that boggles my mind that people actually need somebody on the television to tell them how to feel, or like listen to other
Well,
people's opinions. That's crazy.
unfortunately, most everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and say everybody has been brainwashed in one sense or another. So,
Right.
and I find it more, and this is no offense to anybody, it's just my personal observation, but I find that most people over age 65 will still listen to the news. I have one living right across the freaking street. My father-in-law, he's 78 years old. He'll come over here and, Jimmy, did you see this on Fox today? Did you see this? I'm like, Walter, why are you still watching the fake news? But they were there when TV was invented. So to them, it's a source of information. It's a source of trusted information because they had guys back in the day, Walter Cronkite, to name one, and a few others that actually spoke the truth. So they lured the people in with true information, and then over time they started pushing their little agendas in there, and then starting to do the fake news stuff. And then in 2012, when Obama signed the Bunt Act or the Bunt, I can't remember, where there was actually stuff I think it was an executive order. I can't remember. But what he signed actually allowed the mainstream media to put propaganda on the airwaves.
Wow.
Legally.
That's crazy to me.
So since 2012, everyone has been legally propagandized through the mainstream media.
That doesn't even make sense to me. Welcome, Gigi. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing
I saw the
good.
question, is there a shadow government?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
What do you think? Well,
That's what I was gonna ask you guys. And now that Jimmy's here, are they the same or different? Is the deep state the same or different than a shadow government?
They're the same, but there's some changes going on right now. And the reason I say that, I sent you something in your DMs. Okay. So here's what you do. If you want to defeat the enemy, one, you got to know their playbook. And then two, you have to turn it around on them. So is that the one talks about? Okay. Yeah. So get this. So there's been a deep state in power for a very long time. The deep state is the global, like we talked about. They're the same. But who's supposed to be the president right now?
Joe Biden.
Okay. Go through that list and tell me why all these things are happening right now. Read that out right now.
Okay, this is from Benny Johnson on X. Donald Trump accomplishments before taking office. Mexico agrees to end migrant caravans. Canada closes border, ends illegal immigration. American stock market, Bitcoin hit record highs. China stock market crash. Xi Jinping begs for peace with America. Companies move production back to the U.S. Putin agrees to Trump peace deal in Ukraine. Putin backs selling oil in U.S. dollars. Putin no longer targets the dollar. Zelensky agrees to peace talks. EU shifts to buying U.S. gas. Hamas agrees to end war now. Ceasefire in Israel and Lebanon. Illegal aliens are self-deporting across country. Corrupt government bureaucrats retiring en masse. Government censorship regime collapsing. Democrat lawfare atomized. Trump at 65% approval rating. We're heading into the American golden era.
So, who does it sound like is really president?
Donald?
All those acts, all those things that happened would happen under a president, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it would. Well, Joe Biden could have accomplished any of those on any day. They could have stopped and turned. They could have accomplished all those things, but they chose not to because that's not what they wanted. So technically, Joe Biden is still president, but who's actually getting shit done?
Trump.
He's not technically the president yet. So could you say he's being a shadow president right now?
I could see how somebody would think that, but okay, is it naive to say that maybe they're just doing this out of respect because they know that Trump is coming back into office, or
Well, there
like
is
just
that.
recognizing?
There is a portion of that, yes.
Okay.
But if they wanted to continue doing if the deep state wanted to continue doing what they were doing, they would still be doing those things. But now they're being forced to stop those things because, one, they know Trump's going to be taking office, or two, some of the stuff's getting done behind the scenes, which I believe there's a lot of that.
Okay.
So I would call Trump a shadow president right now, which I've actually told you guys for 4 years that my stance has been he's always been the commander in chief anyway. And so, but that's for another day. So what my takeaway from this is if Trump is doing what he's doing right now, accomplishing all these things, he's not technically president. I would view him as a shadow president, which tells me that he's turned the playbook around on the deep state shadow government. And it's awesome to watch.
Right.
If you understand the stuff.
Okay. What about you, Gigi? How do you feel about the shadow government?
Yeah. Hey, I hope I have a good internet connection. Of course it exists, and there's different versions of it that people say, but it's all of the agencies gone wild, and everybody has known this for many decades, that the senator would say, I didn't do this, it was this department that came up with this, when in reality they have all the power. So a lot of these agencies are shadow government in that the Senate and the House also kind of give them the wink wink, like, we're going to pretend to fight you, but you proceed with this. So the Limbaugh's preaching that for a long time, where they like here in Arizona, like John McCain will say, well, I tried to save the military base. No, but Barack Obama closed it. No, they have power as senators, and they have. So the bureaucracy is kind of like used to do the dirty work that the politicians don't want nobody to know that they're responsible for. But Ruby, I always say never, never, never leave your wingman. And Jesus already told you how this works. He's the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and he talks about all the disgusting things that are inside a human being. They all come out of their mouth. So when you play that video of that guy and he was saying those disgusting things, he was like giving marching orders to all of the people in the bureaucracy that they could stand up and fight the man. But the video, when they asked, I think it was on Valuetainment, when Patrick David asked Donald Trump, like, how powerful is the president? And Donald Trump admitted, like, no, the president has a lot of power. It's just what happens is this president, Donald Trump, is not afraid to use it. Why? Because he's an executive. He comes from a business background, and if he's the CEO, he's the CEO. And so now that Donald Trump is the CEO of the United States of America, these bureaucrats are afraid of their own jobs. And again, never leave your wingman. Remember when Satan accused a God and he said, skin for skin, a man will give all that he has for his own life. And it's true. All of these bureaucrats are doing whatever they're doing. And now all of a sudden a new sheriff comes into town. And what are these bureaucrats doing? Skin for skin. They're pretending to toe the line for Donald Trump. Why? Because they want to keep their job. And it's interesting that we see that with the new sheriff in town, the new president, that these bureaucrats, like the list that Jimmy Bell brought up, how the bureaucrats are falling into line and they're not obeying the instruction of that stupid congressman. Why? Because they want to save their own paycheck. Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I can actually thank Watchtower for is teaching us through the theocratic ministry school how to use how to talk to people, how to do illustrations and things like that, because I use it all the time in my sales job. But in this situation, we can look at it as an illustration. We've all worked for companies that had a horrible owner or a horrible boss. And, you know, you would have the people in the company that would side with the boss and push all his agendas. And we would call those the brown nosers, or whatever you wanted to call them, the goody two shoes in that company. And then all of a sudden and the company sales go down because they quit doing their job and they keep pushing it on to the other people. And the other people are, man, you have a higher position than me. Why are you doing your damn job? Why am I doing your job? Okay. So the company goes down, sales drop, whatever. But then someone else takes over. And those people that were the brown nosers, those are usually the first ones fired by the new guy, new female, whatever, the new owner. Those are the ones that they hold accountable and be like, you're the head of this department, you're the head of this department, and your departments have failed, but we know it starts at the top, so you're gone. And then one of the other people that were there the whole time doing the work gets recognized by the owner and is promoted to a new position to help the company run better. That's what this would be like as an illustration.
Also, there's another adage that says there's no honor amongst thieves. So what you're seeing right now, Ruby, and you're going to be seeing more of it, even though it get worse, that they're going to squeal like pigs. So one thing that Donald Trump has said, and we all know, that the Democrats have solidarity, and they all vote like Jehovah's Witnesses, unanimous. Everybody votes unanimously. But with the new sheriff in town, Donald Trump, one person goes to jail, they're all going to start squealing like pigs, and Donald Trump knows that. All it takes is one Democrat to get caught, and they'll all squeal, because there's no loyalty amongst thieves, and that's the difference between them and us. And I know a lot of people might get offended, but please get offended. But when you believe in the truth and you believe in the rule of law, we don't squeal like pigs, because we have the truth on our side. So I think that's what you can't expect to see, like Nancy Pelosi. All it's going to take is one. It's going to be like a domino, and you're going to start seeing. And Donald Trump knows this. Donald Trump knows pigs squeal, and they're not.
Well, see, there's that part of me that believes a lot of that has been happening over the last 5 years. There's people squealing. There's people talking right now, because there's some people that have already been dealt. I believe that there's some people that have already been dealt with, and yeah, that's why there's a lot of squealing going on right now.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask you something too, and it might be a snowball, because this is a thought that I've had for a while. Let me try to explain it the best I can, because you did mention that those people, like our founding fathers, they knew what a tyrannical government was, so they educated the next generation, and that's why they made the Constitution and the amendments the way that they did.
Right.
Now we're seeing that again, like history is it repeats itself, or it's like we can identify things and that sort of thing. I say to myself, have we become the very thing that we fought against? Because this deep state, or whatever, this American government, kind of, in my opinion, oppressed either the world, and if it's not oppressing the world, it's oppressing us. If it's not us, it's other countries. And therefore, sometimes it feels like too big of a problem, right? Like the big government is a big monster that we're trying to shrink. But have we become the very thing that we try to fight against, being tyrannical, censoring, or these proxy wars around the world, and getting into all of, like, we're not America first right now. So,
right.
So what is your opinion toward that line of thinking?
Yes. You're absolutely right. We have become that tyrannical government, and it goes back, and it didn't just happen overnight. And I've mentioned this many, many times. It goes back to 1871 when basically the deep state, the globalists, they got their hooks on America. They started infiltrating America back then. Do you really think that the people that lost the Revolutionary War wouldn't try to get back at the people that beat them? It took them what, almost 80 years to get back at the United States for defeating them. And let's look at who we're fighting. It just wasn't, Britain. It was the banking system, the British banking system. That's who we, and who did we run to after the Civil War? We ran to Britain for money.
Right.
That's what happened. And so the Brits were like, the city of London, they were like, oh, well, we got them now. They're begging for our help. Let's go ahead and help them out. But let's have things done our way, like we wanted to have it done back in 1776. So that was the start of them destroying America. And over time, during the 20th century, that's why, Watchtower says, oh, things are getting worse, worse, worse. Okay, Watchtower's correct about that. Things were getting worse and worse because that was all by design. And we've reached a point now to where we are literally, and I've said this before too, we have already been in a war. It's an information war. It's not a shooting war. We are in the middle of the second American Revolution, and we're winning.
Okay, so if you believe that in 1871, then before that time, where were they? The deep state was occupying who?
They were in hiding. They were trying to get their claws back in to where they were at. They still had some power in other countries and everything, and they were using that to their advantage, but they didn't have their hooks in the United States.
Okay.
So they never stopped fighting to get their. This is why it's so important for us right now to understand what the hell we're living through, because we got to be able to teach this to our kids. We got to teach it to our grandkids so that when the deep state is defeated and the swamp is drained and they go back and scurry back into their little damn holes, we want to keep them there for quite some time and not have them come back within 80 years. And then the American people are back in this situation.
Okay, right, exactly. So that's why I do believe more in not removing the people. We need to remove the ideology completely. That's why we have to wake up and we have to reject this ideology and then get rid of the people. Because I do believe that
yes.
Right, because I think that that ideology can be resurrected if the next generation comes up and they adopt the same ideology, and then America will be right back where we were. So we have to kill the ideology.
Why do you think the Department of Education is so evil? Because they've been dumbing down the American people since their inception. They've been dumbing down they've done their job.
Yeah.
They've dumbed down the American people so the American people will be susceptible to the propaganda part that's being put on them.
Right. I agree. Go ahead.
Hey, Ruby, I just wanted to mention, to answer your question about the shadow government, there was a man who talked about the shadow government, and he got a bullet in his head. His name was John F. Kennedy. And in his inauguration address, he talked about secret societies, kind of like the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And then when they have the secret meetings, the elder meetings. And so we saw it firsthand with our own eyes. So when you go to a school board meeting or when you go to a city council meeting, it's for show. And they always have secret meetings where people are not allowed in.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's a homeowners association, I've seen that in when I used to have a condo downtown Phoenix, whether it's anywhere else, it's like we say, you were elected in public, then govern in public, but these people don't. And so one of the tributes of the shadow government is there's a group of people, and we know them like our family members who are elders. They love going to secret meetings. Well, if that's true with Jehovah's Witnesses, you don't think that's true with Democrats and Republicans? There's a certain segment of the population that love secret meetings, and they do have a shadow form of a shadow government. Now, are they as powerful as the president? No, no.
Mm-hmm.
But can they cause a lot of damage and a lot of harm? Absolutely.
Mhm.
And so this is one of the problems that we have. Jimmy's talking about education, and Watchtower taught us by example. But now we know, after the fact. And going back to Kennedy being shot, well, us too. What did Watchtower do to us? Same thing they did to John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in a social sense. But this is what all secret societies have in common, and
Yep.
so we should, anytime people want to do things in private, that's a dead giveaway that these people are evil.
Mhm.
And you'll see it on both sides. And not to pick on, I know Jesse doesn't like when I say that, but people that love secret meetings,
Mhm.
yeah, they're dirty.
Let's just say the Uniparty. The Uniparty
Right.
loves their secret meetings. That covers both
Right.
Democrats and Republicans.
Right. So how do you feel about what Joseph just said in the comments? He said the Confederate States were the shadow government during the Civil War.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
for the South, they would have been considered a shit, because I don't think they would be considered too much of a before they got to power, before they succeeded. They were okay. Let me think. They were acting as a shadow government because they wanted to go against what Lincoln wanted. So they were being shadowy figures then. Then when they succeeded from the Union, then they came out. They made themselves public. So it wasn't,
which was treasonous, right? Because they actually acted upon.
which technically, yes, that would have been treasonous because they levied war against the United States, which is a violation of the Constitution and falls right into the definition of treason.
Right. But then you see, and I don't wanna like sound like I'm against that, right? I agree with that. But then remember when I told you guys, like, but they had values that they were fighting for, whereas the Union was pushing for a more federal government, taking states' rights away, and that kind of like arena. So were they really the bad guys? Like sometimes I kind of think
Yeah.
in their perspective.
But if you look back at the Civil War, a lot of people think that the Civil War was only fought because of slavery. No. It's kind of like our election. The Democrats try to make the abortion the big deal, didn't they? They tried to make abortion the big deal, and everybody was concerned about it, ignoring the border situation, ignoring the economy. But it's abortion that's the number one issue.
Right.
That same playbook was used back during the Civil War. They used slavery like they've used abortion today. That was the issue that they wanted to push, but there was other reasons behind the scenes, and it had to do a lot with the banking system, because Lincoln wanted to go back. He wanted the greenbacks is what they wanted, backed by precious metals, gold, silver, whatever. But of course, the banking system didn't want that. So there were more reasons other than slavery on why the Civil War was fought.
Right.
Yeah.
But they consider them treasonous. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Luigi.
let's fast forward to 2024 and today's date, November 26th. This just broke in the Gateway Pundit, and it mentioned how Team Trump officially signs a transition agreement with Biden White House to formalize a transition. But the difference is it will be privately funded and will not use government technology or buildings. So think about this: all of the people that run for president, become president, they're all they blow through money, right? Like Kamala Harris, $1 billion.
Yep.
Total mismanagement. Donald Trump is giving, saying, "Well, I'm going to save money and I'm going to pay for it myself." No. When you start reading that article, this is going back to shadow government. So Donald Trump has all of these cabinet members, but they're not going to be using in the transition government buildings. Why? Well, it sounds pretty on paper. No shit. If you were to go, like say Donald Trump names you the Department of XYZ, and you go into that office and you start talking, you're giving away the plan before you even start the game. Right. So Donald Trump, and this just broke down, He's saying, yeah, we're going to do the transition, but I'm going to pay for it all. It's coming out of our money. And we'll just do it out of Mar-a-Lago. We'll do it out of wherever. We don't need your employees to know what we're going to do. Say, for example, with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. So it's brilliant. I just broke a couple of hours ago. I'm Gateway Pundit.
Here's the way I look at it. This is that I've told y'all before that there's two USAs, right? There's the USA Corporation, and then there's the Republic of the United States of America, which that's what we should be, the Republic of the United States, not the corporation. Joe Biden and all his cronies and everybody, they are the head of a dying corporation. It's gone. It's dead. It's not going to exist anymore. What you're seeing with Trump right now, as I do believe, 100% believe this, we are seeing the birth of the new Republic of the United States of America.
Quick question. Beverly is asking you, Jimmy, do you watch Barry Cunningham?
I do not. I am not familiar with his work. I'll look him up. I'll look him up.
And the president is in the chat. He said they missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ruby, just one last thing on that article. It's really interesting because they also said they will not use telephones, computers, or technology, quote, provided by deep state GSA in order to avoid a repeat of what happened the first time, where like you come in and says, well, Mr. President, let us brief you on what's happening. He's like, no, you don't need to brief me nothing. You don't need to brief me nothing. Yeah.
Trump doesn't need that briefing. He knows what's going on.
And so that right there, they call it a smoke screen. Now, these are his supporters. They're calling what Donald Trump said a smoke screen. So it's cordial. It's really nice. I'm paying for it. But really what Donald Trump is saying is, I don't need your help to govern. The people elected me, the president. I will govern.
And this is why you're going to see some crap hit the fan, because these deep state players, these shadow government players, they're not going to want that to happen. See you, Gigi. Take care, man.
Bye.
So they are going to continue to fight against what's going on right now, and it's going to get crazy. I'm telling y'all, it's going to get crazy.
Okay, so then how do you feel about this? Because Culty says, yeah, but you're condoning another organization, Dodge, operating outside the government, but having government powers, same as the CDC and the WHO. She finds that problematic.
By creating something, well, would the Doge be part of the government?
No.
Why not?
I think because he's instituting it himself and putting his own people to as the Musk and Vivek as the head to do the work.
The government can create new agencies. They've done it for years. Okay. So it's like when they created and I'm just thinking off my head, guys, when they created the Department of Education, they created a new thing that was part of the government.
Right.
Doge is one of those new things that's created to be part of the government. The CDC and the WHO and the FDA, they are not part of the government. They are outside organizations.
Oh.
Doge would be a government organization. It's in the name. Yeah. Department of Government Accountability. It's no different than creating the Department of the Interior, the Department of State, the Department of Education, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Agriculture. We view those as all parts of the government. Doge would be the same thing.
Okay, whereas the CDC is not. That's the distinction. They're
Correct.
not, but they were presenting themselves as they have the authority with the government, as if you have to do what we say, and they were putting them up on the stage, like they were allowing this authority that should have never been given to them.
Correct. And the reason why these outside organizations are used that way by the deep state globalists is because they know that if they were the ones to push this agenda or these agendas, then they're going against their constitutional duty to protect the Constitution. So they want to destroy the Constitution, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. So they put it out on the FDA, the CDC, and the WHO. And then whenever anybody at the top of that organization gets busted for what they've done, then, they may go to prison a while, but they're going to get a book deal, make millions of dollars, and we'll just get rid of this person. We'll put a new person in that will keep doing our bidding. Everybody will forget about this last person that did it because they're out of the news now. They've been taken care of. They're good to go. So we got our new guy over here.
Right.
That will keep doing the same thing.
Right. And the difference is that the Doge, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Doge.
But okay, Doge is reporting solely to the president. That's another
Correct.
thing that I didn't know. So it's like a direct line between who Trump appoints and they report only to him.
Correct.
Yeah. And it could probably die, like Ronald Reagan said in 1963. He said, actually, a government bureau is the closest you and I will ever see to eternal life. And he was joking around, of course, but it's true. So it's not a government bureau. They answer to President Trump on financial matters. Hey, Jimmy, I don't disagree with you, but I just have a different view on treason. Okay. I don't like to use the word treason a lot because we're talking Benedict Arnold, Judas Iscariot here. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of life and death, honor. Mm-hmm. And some of the greatest men in the American pageant disagreed vehemently. And probably one of the greatest people who've been accused of the greatest harm in our country would be Abraham Lincoln. Many of us hold him out to be a hero, but many have a different opinion. They call him a tyrant and so forth. But I don't believe that when people took treason in the Civil War, for example, Robert E. Lee was a general in the Confederacy. Mm-hmm. He lived out his life in the Union afterwards. He was forgiven. Mm-hmm. All the Confederate soldiers were given blanket amnesty by Abraham Lincoln. Yep. So we have a long history of us in the Republican Party, for example, with Abraham Lincoln, of forgiving transgressions. Mm-hmm. It's our brothers on the other side of the aisle that throw us in jail.
Correct.
So William Shakespeare said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, some people say William Shakespeare did. I might be misquoting, but so is treason. Mm-hmm. So if we do something that they question as treason, they'll throw the book at us, where we have a history of forgiving. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is you got to empower a strong Department of Justice and go case by case of what these people did. For example, the Arizona election, go by it case and allow lawsuits to happen. Pharma, I think Bobby Kennedy is going to be very important on that. Yes. So we're going to have to let the chips fall where they may. And maybe we'll have to give blanket amnesty to the whistleblowers so they can hit the bigger dogs upstairs. Yeah. But that's why that's the only reason I don't like to use treason, because Judas Iscariot and Benedict Arnold, we're talking life or death issues.
Well, I do agree that these things do need to be handled case by case, and it does need to go through the rule of law according to the Constitution, and it does need to be transparent. The American people need to see it, because if something is done behind closed doors and someone is hung and the American people didn't see it, I don't view that as being cool. The people aren't learning anything. So that's why I do believe that when I say that some of these people have already been taken care of, I do believe that that's going to come out to the public, because the public has to know. Mm-hmm. Because you can't just sweep that crap under the rug. You got to be able to prove that these people were treasonous to the United States.
And not only that, let's take a January 6th individual. Let's say he was dying of cancer and he's in prison and was not given a proper surgery that could have saved his life. Let's say he had 4 years in prison or 8 years in prison, but he was abused. Somebody has to hold him accountable. My God, even the Confederate soldiers were forgiven. We can't do that to the January 6ers. They raised no arms. They shot nobody.
Right.
So
Yeah.
America has a history of forgiving. Our Democrat brothers and sisters don't forgive. They don't forgive. They wield their power strong. Look at January 6th. We, on the other hand, have a long history of forgiveness. We forgave Bill Clinton. They did not forgive Richard Nixon. I mean, and it goes on and on and on. We forgave Eric Holder. They did not forgive who's the one, the two, O'Bannon. What's his name?
Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. They
Yeah.
did not forgive Steve Bannon or the other professor. What was the other guy's name?
Well, you got to look at how they operate. They operate by force and control. And if they've got, and then if they can hold people as political prisoners, they're going to do it. And that's what they've done with a lot of folks like, Steve Bannon and the guy that just got out. I see his face.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Peter Navarro.
Thank you, Peter Navarro. That's what I was thinking about. And the J6ers. Those are all political prisoners. Every one of them.
And you know what it could be? We on the right have a history of Christianity, and we were beat into our heads. It's better to give than to receive. Forgive. Father, forgive us for we have sinned. When you have a godless opposition, they have no conscience. They can go after you.
Right.
And so that's a burden we carry on our side. That's a burden that Abraham Lincoln carried. But it's good because it gets us closer to God, because we're all going to be held to an account. All of us are going to be held to an account. But you're right, Jimmy. I think it has to be done on a case-by-case basis. We can't go after everybody. Like, for instance, on the voter integrity, you can't just go after it blanket. You're going to have to go on a specific state, a specific precinct. Was something done there?
Right. Okay. Well, I agree somewhat to what you guys have said, because I feel like I'm more on the authoritarian side of the right wing. I kind of go far on the political spectrum, and I can admit that. But for me, forgiveness can go only so far, because when you commit real crime, right? Like treason is a crime. How can you just blanket it? And I don't know, like with the whole
I'm with you. I'm with you, Ruby. If they've done something completely treasonous,
right,
they need to be held accountable. And when I say held accountable, I'm talking about from a rope.
Yeah,
right,
I agree, Jimmy.
right.
But what I'm saying is that it's got to be done with the. They have to be judged by a jury of their peer. It has to be done in the classic American tradition.
Yeah, it has to be done correctly, so there's no question.
So fair day in court with legal representation, the best representation that their money can hire, the best defense. So it's proven without a doubt that this man committed crimes against the American system. Yeah.
Exactly right. That's where my nationalism comes into play, because I don't take these things lightly. If you go against America or the Constitution, like what we've been talking about, there shouldn't be amnesty or forgiveness. Like, I don't believe in that when it comes to political,
but
stuff like that.
A true nationalist does, Ruby, because that's the tradition of America. Even Benedict Arnold was allowed to live. He lived in exile in Europe. He had to leave America.
Right. I agree.
His life was spared. Look at so in the American tradition, look at Abraham Lincoln, all the treason he saw. And Ulysses S. Grant honored the wishes of Abraham Lincoln, and nobody was prosecuted for that war. So in the American nationalist point of view, we have always been a forgiving country. We even forgave Bill Clinton when he shook his finger at us and he said, "I didn't have sex." We forgave him. But maybe there has to be some retribution. They have to confess. They have to ask for forgiveness. Yeah.
Right. So it's like I'm borderline, because I agree, and then sometimes I don't, because I think I read somewhere, and I know that the textbooks can lie and they want to rewrite history, but I did read somewhere that the only reason why Lincoln did what he did was because so many people have already died. So he didn't want to kill anymore. And that was the reasoning, like his reasoning for the blanket amnesty towards the Confederates. He said, just send them back home because so many people have already died over this. Why would we want to kill more people? So like, I agree with that. But at the same time, you can't go up against the Constitution.
Look at the Border Patrol. Look at the Border Patrol. I'm on the private side, but I would rather get fired than allow my border to be trampled on. But yet there's tens of thousands of Border Patrol agents who have participated. They have participated. And we learned something in Hollywood. Doing your job, don't make it right. Cool Hand Luke, Paul Newman. I think they won an Oscar over that. Doing your job, don't make it right. That's an American tradition. All these Border Patrol agents allowed their border to be spat upon, trampled on. What are we going to do? Are we going to fire every Border Patrol agent, or are we going to forgive them? Because they're all guilty. I mean, they've allowed.
I'm with Ruby on this. I fire every one of them.
I would rather.
No.
If I was a Border
I fire every one of them.
If I was a Border Patrol agent, I would have been fired already. I would have said, hell no, not on my watch.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. And if you didn't do that, you're complicit.
Yeah, there's different levels of what's going to happen to these players. There's going to be the ones that are going to see the end of a rope. Okay, there are going to be those if there hasn't been already. There's going to be ones that participated and or confessed to some things, but they're going to end up with life in prison. Right. You know, there's going to be those. There's going to be some others that may be low level. Let's just say, for example, some of these Border Patrol people, maybe they will get a light sentence or a fine or something like that because they're going to be held accountable for what they've done. It's just there's different degrees of punishment that these folks will receive.
Exactly, but they got to receive something. I don't believe in forgiveness. That's why I say, like, don't kill the people or don't remove people, but you have to remove the ideology. You have to kill the ideology if you want them to be persuaded to your beliefs so that they don't commit this again. Like Jimmy said, 80 something years, it came back, it resurrected.
It's kind of like when you're dealing with a narcissist, you know. The narcissist beats on you and you're going to be like, oh, I forgive you. I love you. Or, you know, they're trying to win you back, and then they'll beat on you again and then blame you for it. But then you go back because you fall for their little ploys of, oh, he's just a really good. Y'all know how these people work.
Yeah, exactly. I reject all of that.
Yeah, that's kind of what the government is doing to all of us, the narcissistic deep state. That's how they're treating us.
Look, it's going to take a lot of prayer and fasting for our elected officials because we're dealing with an evil spirit on the left.
Correct.
It's a spiritual struggle. Look at Ezra Levant in Canada today. He was arrested. He's a Jew, and he was filming with his phone a protest by Arabs and people yelling obscenities and every form of obscenity in Canada. The police arrested the person who was making evidence of it, not the instigators of a riot. And so that's what I'm saying about the left. For example, they've thrown all the January 6ers in jail. In the United States, the left will imprison you for photographing a crime, but not the criminal.
Exactly.
They would even, in the left, failure is a resume enhancement. Thievery is even greater.
Yep.
These politicians become super rich. So what I'm saying, when the pendulum swing, these leftists are going to be hungry. They're going to want, there's no anger like a woman scorned. When Nancy Pelosi gets back power, she will rape every conservative in the country. I mean, these are evil, evil people.
Oh,
so we have
that's what she would do. Thank God she's not coming back into power.
That's why we have to think this out very level-headed and pray for our elected officials now.
Right. And we need term limits so that they never come back.
Yeah, term limits need to happen. Totally.
Yeah.
But
I just wanted to share that treason. Jimmy, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just that word scares me. It scares me because it's a very powerful word. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave you guys, man. Good night. It was a pleasure seeing
Oh,
you.
thank you,
Hey,
Jesse.
if I don't see you guys, want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving
Oh, yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
and your grandkids too, Jimmy.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. You
Have
as
a
well.
good night. But you see, that's why I like what Joseph just said here. Nazi Germany soldiers did horrible things, but they were just following orders as their defense. And I was gonna bring that up in a second because I was like, yeah, these people claim that Nazi did it and they had to get consequences for their actions because just following orders is not good enough. Like in the
Mhm.
example of the border patrol agents. That's why I don't believe in that. It's like if you went again, okay, and that's another problem because in my opinion, Nazi Germany and the whole Hitler storyline has been warped and they rewrote that history and
Oh,
they
yeah,
want
they
us to
did.
believe that they were the bad guys, and in my opinion they're not, but I'm gonna behave on my channel. But
Yeah,
if you
we
go
can
to
have a whole
Twitter,
conversation about that and probably piss off a lot of people. But here's the thing: if they've lied to us about everything
exactly,
why wouldn't they lie about that too?
and they have,
And they have.
and it's crazy because right now I'm actually really I'm reading Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, I think
Mein
it's
Kampf.
pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm reading his book and I am already in chapter 2 and I am like in disbelief. I'm taking so many red pills just with reading that book
Yeah.
because it was like, even though that was written all the way back then, I feel like it's happening right now again.
See what? Oh, yeah, we could definitely have a conversation about that. I'll just say this
We'll
for
save
folks:
it.
go back and look up the Weimar Republic. Look up what the Weimar Republic was, and it was basically, look at the history of 1920 to 1930 Germany, socially, politically, economically. Look at what happened to them in the 20s.
Yep.
And then that will kind of explain, it will help create a picture for you to understand why somebody wanted to change what was going on and why that took. Yeah, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother video.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a more targeted episode about that after I'm done with the book. It'll be like a book review because I don't want to get a strike. But that's exactly how I feel when it comes to even the American stuff because I'm like, well, Hitler was a populist just like Trump. They
Correct.
want to call Trump a Hitler all the time, but when you
Mhm.
look at the real story and background of Hitler, the people voted him in. They wanted that.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw an interview. This guy had done like over 400 interviews of people that lived during that time, adults and some kids, and not one of them regretted 1930s Germany when Hitler was in power. Not out of those 400 people, not one of they said it was the best of times for their country.
And that's what I would say for the Trump presidency 2016 to
2020.
2020. Exactly. And then I hope I can say the same thing. We're going to see the next 4 years, but it's like I can trust that another administration of Trump is going to give me those same vibes because it was lit back then. And then we had 4 years of a nightmare and it's like America spoke and we want that back.
Well,
Whereas, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I went to, I conducted an open enrollment with one of the companies that I've serviced for a long time. And these guys make machine parts for a bunch of different things. Just, they've got 41 employees, and I think 29 of them are making parts. And I was talking with them, trying to, sell them some Aflac. And they said, Jimmy, they said, right now, he said, we've gone down to 4 days a week. We're losing orders. And it's been this way for the past 3 years. But every one of them said that during Trump's presidency, they were working overtime, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Yep. And a lot of them, there's 3 of them today, as a matter of fact, that said, we're hoping that next year will be better because all of our stuff is being shipped to China and Mexico. And these tariffs that are put on those countries will bring those jobs back to the United States. And these people will actually be able to start working overtime again. So I remember back then when I would go into that company, I could sell 3 or 4 policies to each person. Now I can usually sell maybe 1 or 2 because they're not getting that jobs. So it's a trickle effect. If the companies are not here in America, these people are they have to cut production, cut their hours, which means less pay for them. I come in to try to sell them insurance. I can't sell them as much insurance because they don't make as much. So now I don't make as much, which means that I can't contribute to, the economy because I don't have that much money, or, it's a ripple effect.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to mention that the tariffs. And I see all these posts and a lot of people are talking about it, right? Because Trump said he's going to impose the tariffs on Canada and Mexico until they do what they need to do because they have the power to control the borders from the north and the south, right? And then what popped in my head was when Vern told me about the tariffs that he mentioned. Oh, now that Trump became president, yada yada, I'm gonna expect to be paying more tariffs, which is the tax. And then I was thinking, I don't know too much about this. I need to do a little bit more research and understand what does tariffs mean for a country and the average citizen, because they're saying that Trump is going to impose the tariffs on those countries, but it's also going to put a 25% increase on the goods that we already are, making use of, like goods and services that we pay for.
That whole narrative is false. Because
really?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because look at a time back when America was funded by tariffs. We weren't funded by taxpayer dollars until 1913. So can someone please tell me how the government operated, let's just say from 1880 to 1900, those 20 years during the Industrial Revolution? How did the government operate during those years? It wasn't because of taxpayer dollars. It was because of tariffs. And were the prices of goods for the American people, did they raise exponentially like all these other people are claiming is going to happen? No, it didn't.
Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that.
This is why people need to do their freaking research and go back and look at these things. Because the media, who's pushing, oh, the American people are going to have to pay more in goods because of tariffs. Who's pushing that? The media, right?
Yep.
Have we not learned anything yet?
Yes. But that's why I'm saying I'm glad you brought it up, because I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand that just yet. So I'm about to introduce myself to what tariffs are and how it helps us or how it doesn't help us, because people make it seem as if it's going to impose on our everyday life, that we're going to be paying more for the things that we already have. And that these are the critics of Trump. They're being critical of what he's talking about.
Well, they also said he was going to put a federal ban on abortion, and we know that's not going to happen. He's not going to do that. They also tried to say that he's going to be Hitler on day one. Well, okay, why didn't he do it in 2016 and 2020?
And in their opinion, he did. That's what I'm saying. It's like they perceive it that way, even if it's not the truth. And that's what bothers me, is that people don't accept the objective truth. They want to continue saying that, this is how I feel, and like all these feelings, and
oh my God,
they're projecting these things. And that's why I hate that language, because I'm like, no, you think that way, you personally, but to everybody else in the whole wide world, he's nothing of the sort of what you're trying to make him out to be. So it's kind of hard for me to like be confident in that. Like you said, that's false. We know that that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it could create doubt in your own head sometimes.
I get it. But once you start looking back, you got to pay. That's why they want to destroy history. That's why they want to destroy book, because they don't want people knowing what's happened before that actually worked. You know, they don't want people knowing this stuff. I mean, again, the government was not funded by taxpayer dollars until 1913. Now you had, you know, I guess you had sales tax. Maybe that existed. I'm not for sure, but that would have been a state thing. But as far as the federal government, no, the American people were not funding the federal government until 1913.
Right.
If anybody has any other information on that, wants to share with me and fact check me on that, please do.
Yeah, me too. So if you email me,
And
whatever
if I'm wrong, I'll be like, okay. See, that's another thing. That's another thing during this waking up process that you got to be open to. You got to be open to the fact that you might be wrong about something.
And I'm okay with that.
I am too. But see, back when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't have that attitude. We had to be right about everything.
Right. Or just stay quiet. Like I was the quiet person. I was like, well, I can't have an opinion on this because I'm not educated enough. So I just stood quiet. I didn't participate.
Yeah.
I would only speak if I knew confident, like 100%. But you see, this is what bothers me, right? Because like you said, they don't want people knowing about this because everybody has this like a preconceived opinion about Hitler. Like Beverly says, oh, you know, Hitler was evil and crazy and Trump is neither. But the irony is that they compare the two when we do actually do research on Hitler and how he boosted the economy in Germany, how he brought back the jobs and basically side by side, Trump is very similar economically speaking. It was good for his country. He was that nationalist for Germany, and he wanted that nationalism for other countries. He wanted France for France, Italy for Italy, Britain for Britain, and us for us. And don't bother us when we want to boom our own economy. And they hated him for that.
And if he was so evil and all that, why did he write 9 letters to Winston Churchill wanting peace?
Exactly. Yo, and you see how crazy that is, Jimmy? I'm like, once I stopped being afraid of the narrative about Hitler and got his book, started researching or like reading people's opinions on the internet of like opposing opinions, like, oh, he was a bad guy or oh, he was a good guy, you know, like debating that, I realized how they don't want us to know all of the like the step-by-step things that Hitler did for his country that was actually good for the country. They demonized the guy so much that you wouldn't even bother looking into
I've gotten to the point with this conversation, like my thing is if you haven't done the alternative research into this subject, I'm not going to if you're still spouting the lies or if you're still spouting the narrative that we were all taught, I have a hard time discussing the subject with you because you're not open to what the other truth is on this stuff. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not being mean or anything. It's just like, okay, have you done the research? Have you looked at what happened in 1920s Germany? Have you looked at these letters that were written? Have you compared it to today? What did they do to Gaddafi?
That's another guy who I was like, why are they demonizing this guy so much? I need to look into what he was doing. And he was make Africa great again, basically, right? Like he wanted
let's look
to
at it this way. Let's compare the two countries, okay? So you have one guy that was for the German people. He was making the citizens better. The country was thriving on their own, correct?
Right.
Okay. Libya, you had a guy that had housing for everybody. They had free education. If they wanted to go out of the country to get more education, the government would pay for it. Was that country surviving on their own?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The deep state doesn't want people. They don't want countries surviving on their own because that's a threat to their financial system.
Exactly.
So what if it's a threat to your this is why a lot of people need to start looking at the financial side of these things, because that's a big player. So if you don't want these countries surviving on their own and being a threat to your financial system, what do you have to do as an evil organization to those two countries? You got to destroy their financial systems.
Exactly.
And that's what they did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't believe the narrative that they give us about these men.
But they, again, they have to have a boogeyman.
That's another thing. Yeah, you always need an enemy. So,
and then they
perfect guy.
And just like with Watchtower, who's the biggest enemy in Watchtower? Russia. It's always Russia. Russia did this. Russia did that. Russia's going to be the king of the North. Russia.
Right.
Okay. So even Watchtower, and then that in the media has done the same thing with Russia. They're the biggest enemy. But they don't say much about China, even though China supports slave labor and child labor. You got, yeah. So they'll defend that because why? It benefits them financially.
Exactly. And China is literal commies. And Russia, I mean, that's an Orthodox Christian nation, and they're demonizing them so much. It's like, why are you demonizing another Christian? Those are your Christian, brothers and sisters. Like, why?
That's
why
why.
Do that?
That's why people really have to dig deep on these things and not just accept the narrative that they're being told. You have to do the research. You have to dig on these subjects and learn more. What financial? I mean, God, I've spent so much time looking at all this stuff. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're here sharing it with me, because I don't think I could sit there for that long and intake all that information. Like, you already know me. I ask a million questions. I'm triple thinking things.
And that's awesome. That's what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And
it's a good thing, yeah.
And everybody watching, they need to be doing the same thing. If you don't understand some stuff that we've talked about, ask us. I'll point you in the direction where you can go find this information. If you want to find an alternative source of information on Germany and that whole situation, go look up the last battle. Europe. It's Europe. The last battle. I think that's what it's called. Crap.
Okay.
Europe.
We'll confirm it.
Yeah, Europe of the last battle, or last battle Europe, or something like that. I think it's Europe of the last battle. But it's a documentary, and it's about 10. There's 10 installments. It took me 3 days to get through it. Because I was like. And then after I watched it, and that's what you need to do with this stuff, is when you watch it, just listen to what they're saying and then go research what they've been saying and find out what other folks are saying about it too.
Right. And you know what I do too? I always, and this is why I'm happy like Hitler wrote a book, because I'm like, I want to hear from the man's mouth himself. I want to hear his viewpoint. I want to hear it directly from the source, like the person who they say, oh, was spewing all this rhetoric, yada yada, and they have his speeches like AI generated into English. That's a good way of knowing what he was really talking about from the person himself. If anybody else wrote a book and they were like so demonized or whatever, or like the narrative is to consider this person as evil, why? I want to hear what that guy has to say.
And that too. And then look into why General George Patton, very esteemed general, why would he say at the end of the war, oh, I believe we fought on the wrong side. Mm-hmm. And then a week later, he dies in a car accident.
Yeah, he was taken out.
So why would General Patton say, I believed we fought on the wrong side? Mm-hmm. Go find out why he said that. You see, people don't. People don't know this stuff. This is why folks like myself and others, and now you, Ruby, we are trying to give you guys information that is valid. It's true. You can look it up. You can verify it. And we're trying. That's why we are the news now, not the mainstream media. F them.
Exactly. That's why I like talking to people. When I went to this church, I said, I don't want to look at no website. I don't want to talk to no priest. I want to talk to you, the regular person who comes here every day, and tell me why or what you believe in. And that's what I hold as stronger than anything, is talking to the actual people.
Yeah. And what would be funny is if you did that with going, let's say you went into a Kingdom Hall and did that.
Yeah.
All they would do would spout what the governing body has said. Like little robots.
Yeah.
Like little robots.
They say, oh, you should really talk to a mature Christian or an elder. And I said, I don't want to talk to an elder.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to the corporate man about corporate rules. I want to talk to you about it, because that tells me a lot more about you and your stance. And that's how I can like gauge whether or not I'm gonna adopt this. Can I really believe in it, or can I really do what you do? And if I'm like, no, then I'm rejecting it, because I'm like, it doesn't. If you can't explain it, then why would I trust the cookie cutter script teleprompter and reading guy? You know what I mean? Like, it's all fake, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah. I saw that just real quick. Beverly, I think it was Bev, said something about I'm kind of biased because my grandfather was Jewish or something.
Yes. Yeah, she said that.
Okay, so as it is right now, for my personal belief, and I'm going to dig a little bit more on everything, but from what I understand, we weren't told the truth about that situation either.
Right.
I'm not saying people didn't die. I'm just saying that the people that it was pinned on, or certain things that happened, was not what you've been told.
Right.
I'll just leave it at that for right now until we talk about this stuff later.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I starred one of Debbie's comments. She says, but when a tariff is imposed, it does mean that it would cost the US more to buy from other countries. And so we will not be able to buy from them. Then it'll cause companies to come back to the USA.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea, you know.
Right. I agree with that.
Companies come back. We want our jobs back. We want our economy growing. So, yeah, these companies will be forced to come back to the United States if they want to profit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's why. Oh, go ahead, Gigi.
No, I'm saying See, I don't do no research because Jesus taught me everything I need to know about tariffs. Seriously. And the reason people don't understand tariffs is because the churches have failed them. And Jesse and I talked about this in other videos. And do you remember remember that part in the Bible when Jesus tells Peter to get the fish that had 2 coins in its mouth?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is they were asking Peter, like, hey, why aren't you guys paying the tax? Your teacher doesn't pay the tax? So when Peter was talking to came up to Jesus, Jesus asked him, what do you think, Simon Peter? From whom do the kings of the earth collect tolls or tax? From their own sons? From others? And then, Peter says, well, from others. But Jesus says, hey, for right now, let's just go ahead and get the fish, get the tax, and pay it. We'll make him happy. But this is where the dereliction of duty of the religious leaders have failed the American people. Because when you have a tariff on other countries, who pays the tax? The children of America or the Chinese, the foreigners? The foreigners. So when you have 10,000 bottles of champagne from France and 10,000 bottles of vodka from Russia, and 10,000 bottles of ice wine from Canada, and 10,000 bottles of tequila, where do you want to sell those 10,000 bottles? You want to sell them in the United States of America.
So who would pay the tax? Would the American children pay the tax? Or were the foreigners pay the tax? That's what Jesus was trying to tell you. Why would a child of a government, of the king, pay the tax? So before 1913, the children of America were blessed in not being taxed with their income. Their property wasn't taxed because the nations wanted in. They says, we want, and don't you remember when in the story of Joseph in Egypt, the people were coming to Joseph saying, please, we'll sell our body, we'll sell our wives and our children, give us food. And he ended up owning all of the people. So the point is when you're the best and you're the greatest and you're the baddest, in this case, the United States, in that case, it was Egypt with Joseph, right? Why would you tax your own people and give China tax breaks? I'll tell you why. Because China will then funnel that money back to politicians as a bribe.
Yep.
You see? So that's why. So my point is that the politicians have done a very bad job in preaching this, but it's because the religions have failed you, and they all are 501c3s. So they won't teach this. But Donald Trump understands. Now, Donald Trump doesn't believe this because of Jesus Christ, unfortunately, but nonetheless, he understands that someone's going to pay the tax, either a child of the government or the foreigner. So, so that's why I don't do the research on tariffs, because Jesus was my teacher. Just kidding. Good night.
Oh, thank you, Chichi.
Great show.
Oh, thank you, Gigi. Good night. I think Debbie said her comment had a second part to it, but it didn't come up on our man. She says it does mean it will cost the U.S. more, so we won't be able to bear back. Okay, it will cause companies to come back. Oh, sorry, Debbie, it did not come through the last portion of your comment, but she did make a comment about our foundation. She says, the only problem I have with saying our country was founded on Christianity is because of how the Indians were treated by the white men. This country belonged to the Indians and Christians stole it. And then a little further down, she says, or am I missing something about the founding of our country? Was it really founded on Christian principles? I would say yes. And before I show you a video explaining it in 5 minutes, I'm going to let Jimmy give me his opinion. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, I do not. When it comes to the whole Indian thing, I don't agree with that one bit. I don't agree with the way, again, you have to know the history of your country, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're not a perfect country. Never have been. Countries made mistakes. And I think one of the mistakes was with the Indians. Now, I haven't dug deep enough on that subject to find out exactly what all took place, what was some agreements. I haven't dug down that rabbit hole. But from what I see, I don't agree with what happened to the Indians at all. I just don't. Now, as far as the country being founded, yeah, the country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. Were they enacted during the Indian stuff? No, I don't think so. But see, this is why I don't deal with religion at all.
Okay.
Because it always creates problems. So that's a tough one. I just don't like. I don't like. In spirit of Thanksgiving, what we did to the Indians was wrong.
All right. Now I will show you a 5-minute clip from Charlie Kirk explaining this really well, and I'll speed it up just a little bit so that it'll go a little faster. But Charlie explained it the best.
I like Charlie Kirk.
Okay, good, because when I saw this clip, he explained it perfectly. So I'm gonna press play.
Cool.
I was articulated yesterday by a couple of my friends that our country was not founded on Christian principles. So I want to see how, like, an argument that you guys can give me to combat that, because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times, and the Constitution doesn't refer to God at all, and it only articulates the structure of government. Is common law Christian in nature, or is it not?
Remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. You could even in actually, all 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. In almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, "I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior" in the original state constitutions. So you remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. Common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: due process and jury of your peers, wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal: neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you are all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal, okay? Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, "We appeal to the supreme judge of the universe." Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution, more than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions. It was Moses' farewell address as he's about to say goodbye, say, "Hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government." But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population. So that's just a surface level belief. So then they'll go to the First Amendment, which has two parts of the First Amendment which get conflated. First of all, separation of church and state is not in the U.S. Constitution. That is a single letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1807 to the Danbury Baptist Convention in Massachusetts, assuring them that the government would not come after the church, okay, which is the opposite of what they would say. However, that was then resurrected by the Warren Court and the Burger Court in the 60s, where they said, hey, all of a sudden, we're now going to make this as if it's the Constitution. It does say in the Constitution 2 things, which is the Establishment Clause and the Free Expression Clause. The Establishment Clause is that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. What they were most worried about was a Presbyterian or a Anglican or a Quaker type religion taking over the federal government. Instead, it was that there is not going to be a state-run religion or a state-run government. Did you know that one of the first acts of Congress was taxpayer-funded Bible printing and distribution? Did you know that there were church services held in the Supreme Court building as late as the Jackson presidency in the 1820s? But going back to this idea of separation of church and state, and again, I could riff on this ad nauseum because it's just so ridiculous, right? Is that it's not biblical because first, it's not biblical. It's not constitutional because you go a layer deeper. People that even say that, do you believe in separation of morality and state? Nobody does. So all laws are a reflection of morality, and all morality comes from somewhere. There is no such thing as neutral morality. And we believe what the founders believed because they put it in the halls of Congress, they put it in the Supreme Court, and they put it all throughout the country, which is that the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, is the core morality of how a society and a civilization should exist, right? The 10 Commandments of every person. And finally, and this is the kicker, if the founding fathers were not Bible-believing church-attending Christians, why did they put Leviticus on the Liberty Bell? Not John, not Psalms, not Proverbs, not Genesis, Leviticus. Most Americans can't spell Leviticus. Leviticus 25:19, proclaim liberty throughout the land of which you are in. It is one of the most sinister, most unsubstantiated lies that does not come up against any sort of academic scrutiny. This idea that founding fathers were a bunch of Enlightenment common law deists. The reason they hate it is because the reason they must say this is that if we actually go back to our Christian roots and we go back to where we once were, it's America's best hope for revival and for a great future.
Damn. I love his stuff. That boy is knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
and he brings the receipts. I guarantee you go back in his video, pick up anything that he pointed to and go look up the research and he'll have it right. That was good.
Exactly. And I loved when he said that this government was constructed with those Christian values, but the nation is no longer Christian. And that's why we have that incompatibility, because it doesn't work. You have a bunch of people who say, yes, separation of church and state. We want abortion. We want LGBTQ. We want all these things. It doesn't work. But
Correct.
you see how America's so free, it still allows them to exist. That's how great we are. Despite the foundation, those things are still allowed to exist, and they call themselves oppressed. That's why I reject that, because I'm like, you don't make any sense. You're able to exist. You don't have any other rights that somebody else doesn't have. We all have equal rights. As long as you are a law-abiding citizen, you're good to go in America. But you are in one of the most freest countries, despite that fact that Charlie gave us. And you could read it, like he said, the Constitution, the even the state constitutions before everything was a union, had Christian notions in them. Like, it mentions God, it mentions faith. So I would argue that yes, we are a Christian founded nation. The people have fallen away, and that's why we see this spiritual war going on.
I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah,
I really would. I would agree with that, because look, I mean, when he talked about morality, just look at you mentioned it earlier in the show when you said you went down to the park to play, you have your kids play, and you seen people half dressed, and
Right.
is that it's like, come on, you're out in public. Can you have a little bit of respect for yourself? Yes, you can dress however you want to, but I'm going to say something.
Right.
I'm going to have my thoughts about really. You look back at the pictures of America during the late 1800s, and you saw women dressed, covered. You saw men wearing suits, vests, hats. You didn't see them walking around with their pants sagging below, sagging below their butt. You didn't see under boob from a girl just walking down the street. You didn't see that stuff.
Exactly. And you know that meme that says, what radicalized you? I laugh when I see that, because I'm like, that is what radicalized me. I couldn't even take my kids to the park without seeing two men holding hands or kissing on the side of the sidewalk, or a half naked woman with purple hair. Like, how do you explain that to a kid? And it's horrible for me.
And this is why I tell people, go look up the Weimar Republic of Germany from 1920 to 1930. Look at the debauchery, and then ask yourself, okay, well, who introduced that to the society?
Exactly.
That's where people just have to dig deeper on things. And I'm going to say this because it needs to be said, but we talk a lot about the political stuff and everything, but I think one thing a lot of people need to start looking into is all this stuff that's been done to the children worldwide, between child trafficking and child sex abuse, and what has really truly taken place in that area, because that area plays a huge factor in the blackmailing of politicians, celebrities, and that's why a lot of this has been allowed to continue, because they didn't want this stuff coming out. And that goes into Epstein, Diddy, and Richard Branson, Peter Nygaard, all these guys. I know it's a subject that a lot of people don't want to, they want to bury their heads and don't want to, there's a lot of yellow hats when it comes to this. But you need to really start digging in to the horrors of child trafficking.
Right.
The screaming coming out of cargo containers.
Yeah.
Go look that up, folks. It's real. It's disgusting and it's evil. And it all ties together with the political stuff.
Yeah, because they condone it, they fund it, they know about it, they don't do nothing about it. Trump was the only president who I saw in his administration with Ivanka. She was a part of it when they targeted, when they directed funds and energy towards the trafficking. That was the very first time that I woke up to that. And I was like, wow, I have never seen any other president talk about this so loudly, like forward about it. So that's the only thing that I'm like hopeful about Trump. And I trust that he would get, he would end this. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah. Well, it's not, we do what we do because we're trying to prepare people for some things. Because if you didn't know about any of this stuff and it just hits you one day, you wouldn't really know what to think about all this. And that's going to happen to some people.
Yeah.
When a lot of this stuff hits the fan. And so y'all, I tell people, I say, y'all thought I was crazy in 2020 and 21, but I told you the truth. I did. I told you the truth, even if you didn't want to hear it.
Right. Exactly. But I was one of those people because my uncle used to like joke with us all the time, but he used to like tell the truth while he's joking. That's the kind of comedy he had. And he used to say it all the time that Jennifer Lopez was a tranny. And we would laugh and we would joke. And I'm like, oh, stop joking. But it would make you feel a certain type of way. Like, why is he, crapping on J-Lo? Like J-Lo was a Puerto Rican icon and we regarded her as such. You know what I mean? Like or Mark Anthony, or, like power couples like Jay-Z and Beyonce. These were figures who in the past I would have said never in a million years.
Right.
They make great music and she's a great role model. Beyonce would never do these like satanic concerts that we see Sam Smith doing, or Taylor, or, all these other people who we kind of like kept special ones. Like, okay, Beyonce is neutral, at least on some things. And then once my eyes started opening up, I'm like, she may not be bold about it, but she was giving messages through her music or through her concerts and stuff.
And see, and you're not the first person. My wife, she said just a couple of weeks, she said, I hate to admit it because I love Dolly, but I hate to admit what we found out about her. A lot of these people in Hollywood, they are evil, straight up evil. And you might love them. You might love, certain individuals. But when you find out the truth of what these people have done, your view will change on them really, really quick. And so,
exactly.
And it's been going on for years.
Right. And that's the only thing that I appreciated when my mom was teaching me about idols, not worshiping idols, because that's what a celebrity is. They go on the stage and they have hundreds of thousands of people literally worshiping them.
Yep.
And that, in my opinion, is also satanic, because you shouldn't be cheering or worshiping anybody. I don't care who it is. Like I can appreciate the music or the art, but when you have a person like standing there and everybody is like going crazy in that type of energy, you're worshiping the person. It's idolizing this person because of their accomplishments or art or music or whatever it is. So I got rid of it. I was like, I'm done with Hollywood. I'm done following the Kardashians and all these people who, where do they come from? How do they get famous? First of all, it was like sex scandals and stuff like that. Why would I want to be, following these people?
And then once you find out how many people in Hollywood have been involved in the trafficking and the satanic crap that goes on there. Once you make that connection and then find out who's been funding it and who's been working together, it's always the same people. Always. And yeah, people are going to have a hard time swallowing some red pills, but
Yep. Like
like
P. Diddy.
yeah, the war's not over. That's why I said during the when Trump was elected, I told everybody, listen, yeah, we won this battle, but this war is not over. If you think just because Trump won, everything is going to turn around on, things are going to change for the good, yes, but there's going to be a lot of things that come to light that you're just like, what?
Okay, just really quickly before I start wrapping it up, but Debbie was asking, what about Dolly? She hasn't heard. So do you have an example about what your wife found out about Dolly?
Yeah, she is. Okay, so in the satanic circle thingies, they have what they call witches. Okay, Beyonce is one. Abramovich lady, she's one, and there's also another lady, I can't remember her name right now. But you have your witches coven. Dolly's part of that.
Okay, and I've heard something like that about Beyonce, but I don't know how to take that. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm still.
I saw a video to where these artists, when a record is produced and it's just come out and they're going to release it to the public, they actually have a room that they take the record. And this is when the records, I don't know what they're using now, but they showed records being put in the middle of the satanic star thing, and these artists would hold their hand over it and basically kind of put a spell on it. That's the tradition of what they were doing, and Dolly's been involved in that. Yeah, so Dolly's not a good lady.
I mean, it kind of sucks, right? Like,
it does suck. It does. It really does. I mean, I've had favorite actors that I can't watch anymore because I know the crap that they've done. And a good thing for me is I was never one of those people that had to watch every movie or had to watch every TV show. I don't hardly watch TV at all. But I'll tell you the ones that really got me. I loved Friends. Friends was great. I had the show Friends.
Oh.
Okay.
Really?
I love that show. I watched it. I've seen every episode about 5 or 6 times. I had the box set. But when I found out what Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston, Lisa Kudrow, I said Chandler Bing, but God, what's his real name? Matthew Perry, David Schwimmer, what they were all involved with, evil shit. They actually said prayers to Satan before they went on and did their shows. Documented proof.
Really? No. My God.
Yes. They said prayers to Satan before they did the filming of every fucking show.
Oh, no, that sucks.
So now I can't watch it.
I mean, yeah, that's a choice that you would have to make. And that's why I'm like, I want to make that choice. I don't want an organization telling me to make that choice.
Correct.
So that's when I do it with my kids too. I told them, like, they wanted to take a JoJo Siwa DVD at the library, and I told them, I'm sorry, I'm not going to accept that because JoJo is gay, and it's just the influence that she had on children when she was a child herself, and then coming out later in adulthood. It's like you're condoning that by consuming the things that they put out, even if they are an artist or a singer or whatever. I wouldn't accept it. And I told them the truth about it. I'm like, sorry to burst your bubble at 10 years old, you know, 7 years old, but I won't even allow the influence to even start. I don't listen to Beyonce anymore or Justin
No.
Bieber. I was a fan. I was like going to concerts and it was like a thing to do. But once I found out that their private life or like didn't match the persona that they were putting out, it was like a deception to me. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't support that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you know, Justin was into drugs and he was sleeping around and, you know, like the media went crazy. And I was like, I can't.
When it comes to Justin Bieber, he was a victim.
And I dived into it. I read all about it. I was
And he
depressed for days.
participated, but he was groomed and he was victimized.
And I feel bad for them
I
as
do.
child artists that
Yeah,
have
I feel-
gone through something like that, because I don't think any child should be an actor, a singer, or whatever. Like, that's child labor, in my opinion.
Have you ever wondered why? Now you might be too young. Maybe they still have them, but the one hit wonders in the '80s, there was lots of one hit wonders.
Okay.
These people came on the scene, had a great song, and then you never heard from them again.
Right, right.
I have come to the conclusion that these people left the industry because they realized, holy crap, this is what this place is all about. No, I'm out.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
That's why I think you have a lot of one hit wonders out there.
Yeah, I do too. It was like they brushed up against the P. Diddy's of Hollywood and they said, no, I reject this. Like, I'm not going to go along with this. And that's the right thing to do.
And because of that, then they lost their contracts or whatever. And yeah, you get paid to play the game. And so those that have been in it for a long time, like Dolly, she gets paid to play the game. She's not this nice old lady that made a lot of country music. Yeah, even country music. You know, Garth Brooks. Oh my God, I never liked the guy in the beginning. I liked country music in the mid '90s, the early '90s, and that's when he was big. But I never really liked his music anyway. There was just something about him I didn't like. And then after I dug in and did some more research on him, I was like, now I know why. My soul didn't like him. I just needed to catch up with my soul feeling. So yeah, they've infiltrated a lot of stuff.
Right. And they throw it in your face, like really blatantly. They throw it in the face. They have those satanic themed concerts at the VMAs or the Oscars or like whatever type of show. It's just like you cannot deny it. And it's a little disgusting because I'm like, even if I wasn't a Christian, it would bother me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just disgusting and sexual, like too much.
It puts a whole new spin on Garth Brooks' song, I've Got Friends in Low Places. Oh, he does.
They tell you the truth right in front of your face.
Yeah.
Music and movies and all that stuff. And that's why I reject all of it. And then now that I'm becoming, you know, Orthodox, it's almost like what you say. These things are true. I'm finally like accepting, like, oh my God, this is true. And if I want no part of this world in the true meaning of it, I will reject all influences. Like, I just wouldn't even bother listening to the music or anything, like nothing, like zero. But I would do it the right way.
Yep, I'm with you. Hey, I'm down to 14%, and so my battery's going to go. It's down to 13 now. It's going to go pretty quick.
Awesome. That's okay because I am going to wrap it up. So thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Jesse,
Glad to
Gigi,
be back.
and Jimmy. Yes, thank you guys so much. This was great. I'm glad we got over this because now I'm gonna dive in. Once my parole is up in February, I'm gonna get some code words and we're gonna dive deep into this stuff.
Well, I'm gonna get back on my researching trail because I do need to catch up with a lot of things that's been going on. So I'll work on that this week. So I'll have some new stuff for you guys next week. So yeah, I gotta get back on what's going on.
Oh my goodness! Before I let everybody go, guess what? You're not gonna believe this. I'm in this group chat for like Florida politics or whatever, and this guy put in the group chat, he's like, "I'm gonna run for office in district number something, whatever in Florida." And I privately DM'd him and I said, I would like to interview you on my political show about your run, your campaign, and your political views. And I told him who I am, you know, the XJW community, like everything. I gave him the rundown of who I am, what I do. And he said, you're not going to believe this, but I was campaigning in St. Pete and I was talking to Jehovah's Witnesses about the political neutrality, how that doesn't make any sense. You participate in the world and taxes, and you know what I'm saying? You live in America, you should participate. And I was like, exactly. So I'm an XJW and I'm allowing myself to learn about politics. I want you on my show. So he agreed, and I am going to have I'm going to have like a real politician.
That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna interview him on my show next Tuesday. So I'm gonna create a thumbnail and everything. So yeah, I think he was running like for Congress, I believe it was. Now he's running for like a more local seat. It was some other like districts 16, something like that in Florida. So I am gonna interview him next week. So
that's awesome.
Get ready. I'm gonna dive into this guy.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the stream now, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone.
I'm a gun throwing patriot, God being patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm really Navy faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun throwing patriot, God being patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm really Navy faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Okay.
All red MAGA flags waving through the South like we just want 4 more years. Democrats can't get right. Trumping with that Yeezy flow. Don't go broke on Sleepy Joe. Make America great again.